Starfield's exclusive. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, but okay.
What's going on, everybody? This is DPS Podcast, episode 25. I am sorry we are late because Brap literally wanted to ask Rand every secret sauce.
Not just me.
Under the sun, and Slow-Mo had a little bit to do with it too. I was just sitting over there.
He answered my questions though, so I don't feel responsible for us being late.
All I know is I didn't get a link till like after 9 o'clock for the show.
I mean, at least you were thought of, Brap. I had to basically DM Forte to ask him, like, "Hey, remember when you said you were going to invite me?"
Yes.
Listen, I was wrong.
Absolutely,
I was wrong. Not a good friend.
Yo, Rand, in the future, just let me know, man.
All right.
Yeah. listen. I literally sweated with Rand 3 days ago. Sweated playing old content that I would never play with anybody else because Rand. I switched clans because of Rand. No, listen, man. I apologize. I did tell you that like 2-3 weeks ago that if this went down, you coming on DPS podcast. And the fact that I see a oh my god message, I'm like, yo, what did I do? And then I said, oh, okay. So, but first of all, like I said, DPS podcast episode 25. It's great to be back here with you guys. If you missed last week's episode, check it out on Slow-Mo's channel. It's always a great time over there. But we do have a lot of stuff to talk about. First of all, we have two very distinguished guests. One is the host of the Brap Basement Radio Arcade Podcast, you know, our boss on Wednesday nights. And how are you doing today, sir?
Doing well. Forte, Slow-Mo. It's really cool. I'm glad Rand's here because I haven't podcasted with Rand in quite some time, and it's great to catch up with him. But this is going to be a great show. I'm really excited to talk about what we saw today from the Xbox Bethesda stream. So.
Absolutely. And of course, he just shouted him out, you know, the man with the million, the man that says he is like, well, he's not the best bot because that's already been taken.
Move's the best bot.
Yeah, that's already been taken. But we do know that, you know, when people are out here in the community shaming people in their gamer score, they do leave out one particular person, and it is the man with the million, Rand Outdoor 19, home of the Xbox 2, one of the best YouTube channels on YouTube. How are you doing today, man? What you been up to?
Man, thanks for having me on, or at least thanks me for making you put me on here, right? You know, because I was the one. I'm not gonna forget this, especially, you know, we still got to go through Destiny Shadowkeep. We're gonna have to do that soon.
Yeah,
I made him go through Destiny Forsaken with me, him Incognito. So that was fun. Anybody else trying to get through old ass content with Forte will help you out, right? You help me out. I'm sure you help other people out. No?
No. Forte, maybe you can co-op.
Like, nah, fam.
Forte, maybe you can co-op with me in Dark Souls 3.
That's why carry you?
No, sir. There's no carrying. It's co-op. There's no carrying. Trust me.
There's definitely carrying in.
There's no carrying.
In Dark Souls 3.
There's no carry.
But as always, Rand, really appreciate it. And sorry, but you know what? I'll be looking for, you know, sooner or later you're gonna have to open up the Xbox 2 to a 3-day show. Sooner or later, it's going to happen.
If I do that, I'll reach out to Slow-Mo first before you. Then.
Oh my god,
that's what I'm talking about.
You know what, Slow-Mo? You know what? Slow-Mo is very knowledgeable. He knows a lot more than I do.
Slow-Mo is very, very knowledgeable. He always brings the facts and the truth.
He's always out here flexing on people on Twitter every day. So
I try. I just you know.
But speaking of which, the co-host, Slow-Mo Backslap, almost at that 1,000 subs. You know, we got that Bugsnax screen coming up.
Oh my gosh, stop reminding me.
That's what we talking about, man. So make sure you go over and subscribe to that man's channel.
I'm waking up in the middle of the night, getting nightmares, screaming. Wife asking me what's wrong with you. I'm screaming Bugsnax in my sleep, man. This is bad,
so
man.
You're gonna end up loving this game you watch.
So
Slow-Mo, know about that one.
you are gonna get the platinum, sir. I can see it. I see it in your future.
Speaking of which, Rand, you have a PlayStation 5. Did you play Bugsnax?
No, I mean I have Bugsnax through PlayStation Plus, but I have not played it.
Oh.
Am I supposed to?
If it was on Xbox, you would have played it, though, right?
No,
maybe Rand doesn't like to torture himself. Why would he play it?
Don't say that, because Rand likes to torture himself.
Haven't people said it's a lot like Pokemon, where you go around and you collect like different bugs and stuff.
I
Right?
think you go around and eat the bugs.
I hate Pokemon, so
I hate Pokemon so much. I can't believe this.
Even if it was like the game that you had to go on stage to get the 1,000 for the million on, you would hate the game still.
I mean, I'm sure I could pick a different game, but it wouldn't be Bugsnax. I'll tell you that much.
So yeah, Slow Mo. What's been going on with you, man? How you been?
I've been good, man. I've been grinding. Legendaries and Outriders demo. I can't wait to play that game when it fully comes out. You know I love looters. I've been playing a little bit more of Division 2, but with Big Mike. Shout out to Big Mike. Been playing Persona 5 Strikers. I've been playing Tales from the Borderlands. I streamed episode 2 the other day, and Tales what's it called? Trails of Cold Steel 1. I've been playing that too, and really starting to like the story starting to open up. So I really kind of see how guys like Creative Kofi, shout out to him, really love that game and endorse that game so much. And it's awesome that it's got like three other games as well. So once I finish with this one, I can just jump into the next one. So I've been enjoying myself. And I've also been playing Master Chief Collection PvP. I don't know why, like out of nowhere, I just started feeling like
you trying to get your skill up or something.
Oh no, I'm not. Look, I'm headshotting fools, man. I'm it's like riding
PvP
a bike.
or PvE, because it's a lot easier to shoot the computer.
PvP, man. It's look,
skill-based matchmaking must be turned off.
You know what? The disrespect. It's okay. I expect that from you, but no, I've been enjoying myself. It's like me and a couple of my friends, we get together every Friday night and we just play whatever. These are guys I've been playing with since like high school, so like original Xbox kind of stuff. So like we get together and we just play stuff, and we just decide to go through the Master Chief Collection. We're still going through Halo Reach because these guys are old and they they fall asleep on the mic. They end up forgetting to get on, so we don't all play it. So I just playing through it again. Just got the blood rushing again. So I've been doing some PvP a little bit. But maybe I'll live stream it one day. We'll see.
Cool. Well, first, you know how we always do when we start the show. Let's give a shout out to some of the people that's been here since the beginning. We got my boy Replicant up in here talking about we being late. No, that was like I said, it was all on Brap. Some of it on Slow Mo, trying to get industry.
It was all on
Brap
Forte. Literally all on Forte. Tell us when you sent the link.
8:59.
That is a lie.
It was 8:59.
Dude, my timestamp says 9:00.
My type says it's 9:01.
What does yours say? Well, I probably sent it to Red.
My timestamp says, what is this? 8:02?
8:02? 9:02, you mean?
You're Central. So 9:02. So essentially, you sent everyone the link.
At least I sent the link to you first, because it would be bad if I sent it to Red first. Just say, listen, you gotta know how to get out of a trolley situation. That's how you do it. Shout out to Mitch Dies a Lot. Shout out to you, brother. Shout out to Bowdy Boom. Shout out to Tayshawn. Shout out to you. Forte for president. Let's go. That's what I'm talking about. Ryan Landis up in the house, man. Appreciate you coming through. Who else am I missing?
Soy Two Mangs.
Oh, I did see. Oh yeah, I see it right there.
Replicant.
I said Replicant. Did you not hear it? I said Replicant. We got
Rick Payne. What's up, man? Logic Wins. What's good? Big Mike.
Big Mike in the house. Shout out to
Big Mike.
He said, shout out to Rand and Brap up in here. That's what I'm talking about. Logic Wins. What's up, man? Happy days to you. Somebody actually said something really cool right here. Oh, happy days. No, yeah. So Tayshawn says, screaming Xbox got too many games. It's a completely role reversal, but you know what? We just go. It's pretty much just going to be an Xbox show today. Ain't nothing else really happened. I've been telling people, me and Rand, we're telling people for quite some time that games are only going to be where Game Pass is, and our boy Phil Spencer, in some people's eyes, Phil Diamond is Uncle Phil. He's got a bunch of different names in the Xbox community. He's got a lot of names over in the PlayStation community that we won't really discuss. But, ultimately, they did a roundtable today. And they confirmed a lot of things that a lot of people have been saying for like the last 8-9 months. And just to give a little context to it, we'll just read the little statement that he had to say, which was probably the biggest part of the whole show outside of everything else they talked about. He said, if you're an Xbox customer, the thing that I want you to know is that you are important, and we are delivering great exclusive games for you that ship on platforms where Game Pass exists. So I'm going to turn it over to the man with the million, one of the most incredible people in this community. Yes, I'm going to sauce you up for the rest of this show because I didn't send you an invite, sir. How do you feel right now, man? What you've been talking about this for over 8-9 months. How does this make you feel?
I mean, I'm glad that most of the speculation can end because honestly, I don't know about you guys, but I'm sick of hearing about it and I'm sick of talking about it.
Absolutely.
Every single week it's something. Yeah. And I'll say, I really want to give a shout out to Aaron Greenberg and the marketing team who put together that presentation today, as well as that trailer that dropped as well, because I thought that's some of the best marketing they've done in a while.
I agree with that.
It's really well done.
Great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
and I like going, seeing all the studios and taking a history of what it was going through. Right, I thought it was a very well done roundtable. But of course, like everything, it always comes back to that exclusivity, right? Mm-hmm. And I've said since the very beginning that the plan was going to be, at least the way I viewed it, was that they'd honor existing contracts like Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo. Current games that are on PlayStation would be on PlayStation and continue to get updates and expansions like for Elder Scrolls Online and Fallout 76. But that any future games that didn't have existing contracts were going to be in Xbox, PC, Game Pass exclusives. And there was a contingent of people out there, some in the media, some fanboys, whatever, who really couldn't want to grasp that concept because they thought to themselves, well, wait a minute. You can't take these games away from PlayStation. We have 120 million users, PlayStation. You're going to need that money. $7.5 billion you can't make up really quickly, even though Microsoft is one of the $1 trillion company and they literally just made $15 billion of profit in 3 months, right? And I think it's the first time some of the PlayStation fans and some of the media are a little bit scared of a Xbox that actually might have that war chest. Brap, the war chest that people always kind of talked about, but actually wasn't really there, but now actually might be there. Mm-hmm. So here you have Phil, and he's built this, Xbox platform basically around, okay, we have consoles, we have PC, we have Game Pass, which, Slow-Mo, you're not wrong in your whole Game Pass is the platform thing, right? I know people were giving you crap for that, but there is some truth to that. Mm-hmm. They want to bring the barriers of entry down so you can pretty much play all these games wherever, basically Android devices, iPhones, smart TVs. And the whole point of the Bethesda acquisition, as Phil said, right, that you read out, was the root of it. The reason we did it was for exclusive games. Mm-hmm. And I said it in my video I put out tonight a little bit ago was, and I'll try to say this as nicely as I possibly can. If you're on PlayStation, your one-time sale is worthless to Microsoft. Mm-hmm. Microsoft isn't in the business anymore, or Xbox rather, of getting a one-time sale from somebody. The business now is annual recurring revenue, right? And the way you get annual recurring revenue is you bring people to your ecosystem so they can subscribe to Game Pass, and they subscribe for years. And then those people buy third-party games on your platform, and they buy DLCs and microtransactions and all that stuff. So somebody buying an individual game like Starfield, for example, let's hypothetical scenario, even though this won't happen, Starfield comes out on PS5 this holiday, right? Microsoft doesn't care for those one-off sales. That's not what they're looking for anymore. They're looking for people that will subscribe and give them annual recurring revenue for an extended period of time, because that is what their entire business is modeled after. And I don't think people fully grasp that a concept that Microsoft was like, we don't need those people because those people are just going to give us a one-time purchase. And also a lot of people don't realize is that Microsoft isn't abandoning 120 million PlayStation users, because right now PlayStation 5 only has about 5 million, 6 million sold, right? It's the start of a new gen. I don't think people really factor that into it, right? Like Xbox Series X and PlayStation right now, we're are very close to each other when it comes to sales. So you're actually not abandoning as many people as as other people online would have you believe. But this is all about an investment in exclusives. We've seen how WandaVision and The Mandalorian can propel Disney Plus to 100 million subscribers, and Stranger Things and all these shows that you can only get on Netflix, how it makes people want to invest in those ecosystems. And we've seen it with PlayStation with some of their great exclusive games like God of War and Spider-Man and such, right? And Xbox was sort of missing that a couple, for a fair bit this generation. But now with the teams that they purchased, the 8 teams that are under Matt Booty, well, the 15 teams, but the 8 teams they bought, and then the Bethesda with their 8 studios, 23, they're just going to be pumping out exclusive content for Xbox. It's never going to be better than what it is right now. Like, it's going to be so amazing. And then if you're a Game Pass subscriber, it's even better because you get these games basically for free. Right. And I just kind of have to shake my head at the industry pundits and people out there who thought that these games went up in PlayStation just because Minecraft wasn't taking off with these other platforms. It's a lot of short-sighted thinking. And that's kind of what I really got to say about it. It's just all about annual recurring revenue and driving people to your ecosystem so they can spend more and more money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At least from the business side of it,
Yeah. And you're absolutely right. And I do want to get this super chat. We got Zale with the $2 holla. Brap and Rand in the same room. This is going to be lit. And you know what? That's a good segue because Brap, I know you've been all over the place with this conversation, brother. I'm so happy that you're here. You can't mute us on, just to say to keep us quiet because we ain't on Brap or anything. You can't just shut us up. So, I really want to know what you think about this situation, because like I said, Red's been talking about this for a while. We had everybody pretty much over there on RDS talking about this for a while. And even a lot of the other smaller YouTubers and stuff that's been coming up over the course of the of this beginning of this generation has been talking about it too. I know you want what's best for the Xbox community. I know you do. So tell me, how do you truly really feel about this, sir?
Look, I want what's best for me, selfishly speaking. Seriously, like the one thing that, first of all, Rand made some great points. Like, Microsoft is pivoting here. I mean, they are, like, we had Jeff Grubb on last night. Shameless plug on Brap.
Jeff Grubb has amazing hair, by the way.
He does. I'm jealous of his hair. Like they need to mocap his hair or something in a video game. Maybe for the next too
many pixels.
Yeah, right. Well, I don't. Right? They might need that SSD, a PS5, to load up his hair. But no. Like he said it. He said Microsoft has kind of reinvented themselves. And as a company in general, like reoccurring revenue, subscription services, that's their forte right now. That's the focus. That's what Satya wants to do. And Game Pass fits well into that. And that's what they're doing. And I think that the one thing I'll say about Microsoft, and, Rand, I heard you talk about the war chest. These moves remind me of Microsoft of old. Like when I was a Xbox Live beta tester, and Luke is going to love that I said that because I was like almost 20 years ago, which is crazy. This is Microsoft, I feel, has always kind of been ahead of the puck or knowing where the puck's going to go, right? And I think to some extent that the industry is heading in this direction, and Microsoft is just at the forefront of that. And just like they were with Xbox Live, you guys got to remember that they got a lot of crap for putting an Ethernet port in the back of the OG Xbox, and people being like, "What are we supposed to do with that?" Like, we all have like dial-up, 56K. Who's got broadband? But what happened? 10 years later, not most everyone, but many more people had broadband. Xbox Live just took off, and I think this is obviously going to pay dividends for Game Pass. This is a huge move. This gives them what they need in terms of content, because content is king. And the one thing that really excites me about this merger or acquisition is that now, and we talked about this before we went live, you have studios now. Studios that probably would have shut down. I think you said this before we went live, Rand, that maybe Arcane might have been
there definitely would have been layoffs.
Yeah, there would have been layoffs. And now People don't have to lose their jobs. They can still make content that they like. And like Arcane's one of my favorite studios under Bethesda.
Dude, they
Like,
are an amazing studio.
they
Aren't
are.
they? Like they're
Absolutely.
so underappreciated by
They are.
people.
Absolutely.
And it's honestly, like I know people look at like Bethesda, the one who makes the RPGs, but for me,
Yes.
like it's Arcane and it was id and it was
id.
Machine Games for
Machine
me.
Games.
Like it was like,
Me
oh
too.
my god, those three like developers, it's just like it's crazy. But you're totally right. Arcane, I can't wait to see. I'm getting Deathloop because I just can't wait to play it. Like
Me too.
even if
I agree.
it's coming to Xbox a year later, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Right?
But
Go ahead, bro.
Yeah,
Go
I
ahead.
was gonna say, to that point with Arcane, like this saves that studio. And Arcane, like if you look, Dishonored's come to Game Pass. I encourage anyone who hasn't played Dishonored 1, Dishonored 2, play those games on Game Pass. They are amazing games. Amazing games. And Todd Howard said this, like now with Game Pass, we could probably do things from a creative point of view that maybe we wouldn't be able to do before because maybe there might not be an audience or might get lost in the shuffle of other big releases. Now they have a platform to do that. And as a gamer, I love that. I love that because I don't want, we talked about this with EA and BioWare, where, BioWare started making games based off of like, what is it? Like, not consumer surveys, but I forget what it was. Shit. What was it, Slow-Mo?
Statistics, data.
Yeah,
charts,
data. Yeah. Basically, if you make this kind of game, you'll sell this much. Like that's all nice and dandy, but I want developers to have creative freedom to create the kind of games that they want, because we've seen how that can impact a developer negatively. Like you used BioWare as an example. BioWare is just a shell of itself from the previous BioWare, and they even mentioned that. I forget the gentleman who did a lot of the writing. I say it's Mark Dara, but it's not him. I forget.
It's David Gator for Dragon Age.
Maybe, yeah, it might have been him.
The lead writer for the majority of the Dragon Age series was David Gator, and the lead writer for stuff like Knights of the Old Republic, Jade Empire, the majority of the Mass Effect series was Drew Carpenter.
Oh, it was Drew Carpenter. He said that. He said, look, like once we got bought, like we weren't really making games that we wanted to make anymore. So that creative piece was taken away from them. And I think this move really allows those studios like Arcane, allows Bethesda. Todd Howard said that, like it allows us to do things that we probably wouldn't have done had we not had the opportunity to get these games into Game Pass. So, outside of just this acquisition, I think Game Pass could be a great place for smaller studios to find a home, to put their content on there that they otherwise may have not done, because there's big financial risks right now, right, in making video games. They're super expensive. If you don't sell well, I mean, that could be it. Like one bad game could literally shut down a studio, and perhaps Game Pass is an avenue for people for studios to really tap into that creativity, and that's what I want to see from video games. I like tentpole titles are nice and everything, but I mean, like Call of Duty's okay, but I want games like Dishonored 2, Dishonored 3. I want to see developers take chances with creativity and give us new experiences, and if Game Pass can foster that kind of thing for me, I think for other gamers, it's a win-win for everyone. And the best part about it is, like Rand said, it's kind of free. You got to pay for it, but at maybe $15 a month. I mean, I'm not paying 15. I got I'm stacked, but even if it's what is it? What's the math work out to be like 100?
Well, it depends. Like
bucks?
It's $10 a month for just console, or $10 a month for PC. So you're looking at $120 a year, or $15 for Ultimate. But even like you didn't even mention, Brap. Like I know your PC master race. This doesn't really change anything for you because you can just be able to play all these games on PC.
Yeah, and I can play them on TV too. That's the beauty of it. Like I say, if you're gonna get Game Pass Ultimate, in my opinion.
Facts.
But like, yeah, Ren, I could play, if I want to play on my PC, I can do that. Or if I want to play, on my couch in front of my new 65-inch TV, I can do that. The flexibility's there. I love that. But, but even if you do the $15 a month or you do $120 a year, there's a lot of value there. For the price of 2 games at $70 a pop, you can, get Game Pass, and now you have like 200 games, and now you get, all the games that Bethesda's bringing. So this is just huge. This is, I think, a move that's it's going to disrupt the industry if it hasn't already. in my opinion.
Yeah. Ryan Landis says, are these games still going to be able to be sold and not just in Game Pass? Yeah, you'll still be able to buy them in different places and stuff. You'll still, I mean, they do it now when it comes to PC and on Xbox. When it comes, I mean, Forza Horizon 4 just released on Steam, and it was literally the number at the top of the list the whole day. So you'll always be able to buy these games. It just really comes down to pick your poison. Do you really want to spend more money on your game? I mean, we already talked about how expensive this hobby is as a gamer. And do you want to spend more money or do you want to spend less money and play more games? And that literally ultimately what it comes down to. Slow-mo, you've been talking about this stuff too for quite some time. And I know you've been skeptical on a couple of different things too, but you always came back to the whole fact that, Game Pass has always been the platform. That's something that me and you have been championing for like literally all this year, going back into last year. How do you feel about the situation now? And how do you think Phil Spencer handled this situation, knowing where we started and where we finished?
Well, the only things I was skeptical really about was how they would distribute the content. And I always said that, like, if they made as much of what they were selling, of what Bethesda is coming out with exclusive to their ecosystem, which is essentially Game Pass, whatever Game Pass exists on, as Phil said, then that was going to be the best bet for them, because that would drive more people to Game Pass. Every person that buys the game elsewhere on a different platform is one less person that's getting Game Pass. Because if you got Game Pass, what are you spending $70 for a game on a different platform for? So essentially, that's what I thought was somewhat up in the air, but I thought it's a W regardless, because they're making money regardless. Mm-hmm. Yep. So yeah, but Game Pass is the platform. I know some people are a little upset about that, and these are people who are still kind of in denial about where Microsoft's direction is, and it's not a negative, but it's in their eyes it's a negative because they only want Xbox to be the box, but Microsoft is beyond that now. Like, that's a great point. This is the direction they've been in for a very, very long time. I remember people saying, well, they only did Game Pass because they were in third place. They only did Game Pass because people aren't buying their games. That doesn't track with Microsoft as a company as a whole. And I've mentioned this before, but if you look at Microsoft Office, there's literally no other software product in that particular market that competes. You either in anyone in any office setting, you have a computer. What do you get with it? You get Microsoft Office, because you need that. As a student, as a teacher, as an employee in a corporate work environment, everyone has Office. It is the far and away industry leader in that particular market. What do Microsoft have with Office? They have Office 365. What's that? That's a subscription service. And they make a truckload of money off of it. Last time I saw, I think it was up to 44 million. Now that's in the industry where you have no competition. 44 million subscribers. So they were going to do this regardless. If they were in first place like Sony is right now when it comes to the console market, they would have did Game Pass. Where they are right now, they did Game Pass anyway. It was going to happen regardless, because that is how they feel they will make the most revenue. And honestly, that's true. Because if you provide content that people want, and they feel like, they never think to themselves, why am I still subscribed to this? I need to unsub. Right. If they never think that, even in the months where you didn't even drop something new for them to play, they're still paying. That's more over time than them every now and then buying the game. Yeah. And so this is not just something that Microsoft came up with or anything. This is all over the world, in every market you see companies transitioning to this because they know over time the data backs it up. They make more money. Now, this kind of goes back to what we were talking about on BRAP a few years ago. And Rand, you probably remember this too. There was this talk from an investor call where they told their investors their plan for Game Pass was to eventually have one AAA game come out every quarter.
You guys remember that? I remember Z Huge had reported that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember being on BRAP and we were just like, what?
Well, we said they're gonna have to have like 23, 24 studios to do that.
That's exactly what we said.
We said, yeah.
We were like, in order for this to even work, and at that time, I think they were at like 8. This is like right after they had acquired. They did the E3 show, not right after, but like it was in between the E3 show where they announced Ninja Theory and all the
so they had about 11 then, because I think they had about 6 before that E3 show, and then they bought 5.
Right. Okay. So about 11. You're right. It was about that because I was like, yeah, they got a good number of studios.
Dude,
they're almost
slow-mo. Isn't it funny that Xbox has survived this whole time with basically 5 studios? And not it's like 343, Coalition, Rare, Mojang,
Turn 10,
and Turn 10. That's it. That's who's been making exclusives for you since the OG Xbox era. I mean, there's some that came and went, like Lionhead and stuff, but like it's never been a huge stable of developers. Microsoft always kind of relied on second party deals. And that completely blew up in this face at the beginning of this generation for them,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because if you can't get those second party deals, and then you can't kind of manage a second party that you don't really own.
Well, it's like, hey, we let you, people work with Xbox. We'll let you keep the IP for Rise, and then Crytek doesn't want to do another Rise, or you have it's like, okay, well, we can't do that. Sunset Overdrive. It's like, okay, well, Sony, like all the Crackdown 3, like all these games, a lot of these games are just like second party stuff, and Microsoft wanted to basically turn all that internally and have they wanted to stop relying on it. But a lot of people don't remember that Microsoft didn't have that many studios, and now they have 23. Right, it's kind of ridiculous.
And or another example is that, like, say a second party studio has other obligations to a different publisher. Mm-hmm. And they just don't have the bandwidth,
like Scalebound,
right? To actually do your game the way you want it done. Like this is owning those studios so that, and then doing what they're doing now, and now with say other people who work for other places are saying they should do with turning Obsidian into a co-development studio. Doing what they're doing now, allowing them the creator freedom to make what they want. And they that's how they got them in the door. So you can't go back on that now. You got them in the door by telling them, don't worry about the finances. We got that. We got you. Make what you want to make, and we'll just put it where we want to put it. Problem solved. And so you can't go back on that after the fact and say, hey, now that you're here, we just got Bethesda. Would you mind being a co-development studio under the Elder Scrolls? Like that's ridiculous. Like that's stupid. But to get back to my point, that they had to do in order to make that work, in order to make one AAA game every quarter work, they had to have 20 plus studios in order to make that cadence be realistic, to not rush those games out before they were ready, and for the actual developers making the games to be comfortable in releasing the games when they're ready. They're there. And we know they're still when the CEO says we're not done, all right, look, they ain't done. It's like, don't be surprised if other publishers are being acquired. And if other publishers are being acquired, it's going to be exactly how this structure is, where Bethesda is still under the Xbox division, but they're doing their thing. They're managing it themselves so that the actual Xbox Game Studios doesn't have to do that. Right. Now, what you're doing is that you're creating a bigger stable so that Game Pass has all the content it needs. The reason why subscription services work is because people are constantly feeling like they're getting the content that they need. to stay subscribed. People aren't subscribed for Netflix so they can watch Friends for the 15th time.
Actually, that's not true. A lot of people subscribe.
No, yeah, be surprised.
Okay.
Be surprised.
Maybe I shouldn't have said Friends because that's a big one. Anyway.
Well,
Or The
that's
Office. A lot of people are subscribed to The Office on Netflix.
Yeah.
I personally know of like 5 people who unsubscribed and it went to Peacock.
Jeez,
Yeah.
really?
Uh-huh. Yep.
Wow, I didn't even. Okay, well, look, I'm subscribed to Netflix for stuff like Stranger Things. I'm subscribed to Netflix for their original content. And every now and then the random movie that turned out to actually be pretty decent, but most of them kind of suck. But I'm there for the original content. Disney Plus grew to the way it grew because they got a lot of IP that they own. That's amazing. The Mandalorian, WandaVision, stuff like that grows that. It's the reason why they are up to where they are right now. And I think this will also help as far as Bethesda goes. I don't really care about Bethesda Game Studios. I'm not going to throw shade right now. I won't.
Oh, yeah, because you already know.
Yeah, well, I already know what that.
You already know.
You gonna cry about it? Or
No,
anyway.
I'm not a huge Bethesda, fan like that. It's just the fact that I hate when people, and I know you don't like Bethesda proper. You like the published side of it when it comes to like Wolfenstein and Dishonored and stuff. So I get what you're saying, but it kind of sucks when people say that these games don't do well when it's a bunch of people out here that buy. I mean, the fact that
that's a misconception.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. That's why I want you to clarify that because that's the
internal Bethesda Game Studio games always sell well because there are people who are no matter what happens, no matter how buggy the game is, they're getting it.
Like Jeff Grubb.
Launch day one. Jeff Grubb, yeah, he's a great example of that. The ones that didn't really do that well in sales are the ones that I actually care the most about, the published content. Your machine games. I like machine games. I didn't like Youngblood, but everything else they've made has been an awesome experience for me. Even though I haven't cared too much for Arcane's games, one thing I always will respect about Arcane and really enjoy is the fact that Arcane's so innovative. They don't just you see a game like Prey and say, oh, it's a first-person shooter, but it's so much more than that. And that works for some people and sometimes it doesn't. Right. But Arcane doesn't just make your typical kind of game that you would get anywhere else. And that a great example of that is what's coming out soon with Deathloop, because Deathloop, the entire premise of it just intrigues me so much. I can't wait to play it. I watched a Game Informer interview where one of the lead directors for it, I'm gonna butcher his name. I know his first name is like Dinga something, but he's a pretty funny guy. But he talked about the game in detail. This is a game where the shooting, the gunplay and shooting mechanics look awesome. That's I would have played it just off of that alone because I love first-person shooters. But the fact that you have these 8 targets that you have to take down while you're also being hunted by another assassin who has custom AI that can show up at any time, at any place and take you out, and you can be invaded and other people co-op could come in and take over that character too. But all of that combined with the fact that you have to take down these 8 targets, and every time you make a move on one, the others kind of adjust based off of what you've done. That's a concept that we haven't really seen in a game yet. And I'll always appreciate that about Arcane because they don't actually just do the usual, the mundane. The fact that if I take out one of those targets and 2 other targets will, if that particular target goes down, 2 of the other people I'm after will get together and increase their security. That's not just an example. That's what they said will happen if you take on and assassinate one of those people. That's such a different concept. I just can't wait to play that. And I think the fact that potentially if this didn't happen, we wouldn't have games like this. This is why this is a good deal for gamers, is that studios like Obsidian and Ninja Theory and other studios that were almost on the brink don't have to worry about that. It's awesome.
There's also another aspect of this that doesn't really get talked about a lot, right?
Mhm.
And that's the Orion tech that Bethesda was making for mobile.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
For
Yeah,
streaming.
right, yeah. For
And
streaming,
now that can be integrated in with xCloud, later on and stuff. Like there's a whole they own id Tech now, right? And Microsoft also runs like PlayFab and GameStack. Now they actually own a game engine that they could license out if they wanted to, right? You know what I mean?
It's really good.
It's a good engine, yeah.
It's an incredible engine.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's just like I understand people were upset with Xbox this gen. Like I was. There was a point in time, 2017, where I was just like, I don't know what's going on anymore. Like
I remember that.
I honestly felt like it was almost done. Like I felt like they were going to sunset Xbox, and I didn't feel good about it. Everything I'd heard was very bad. And 2017 was a horrible year. I mean, they launched Halo Wars 2, Super Lucky's Tale, and Forza Motorsport 7. Super Lucky's Tale was a launch title for the world's most powerful console, the Xbox One X. I still kind of just laugh at that. And even 2019, Crackdown 3 and Forza and Gears 5. Well, Gears 5 is a great game, but like Crackdown, like it just seemed like there was a point where like investing in new games that weren't like big franchises was over, and I was really worried about the future and where Xbox was headed. And then Phil got the division was moved out from underneath Windows and Terry Myerson.
Thank God.
Phil reported directly to Satya and became executive vice president of gaming. I'm like, oh, something's changing. Then at E3, they bought some studios, and you're like, okay, that's a good start, right? Like,
Right.
you know, that's what we needed, and that's what I personally. That's what I has always talked like when I talk to Phil privately. For me, it was like I want to see the commitment. Like I see the words, you know, all that stuff, but like I need to see the commitment. And I saw the commitment. I was like, okay, I see it. And I understand games take time to make. I know a lot of people are upset that there hasn't been, you know, what I knew when that happened. I'm like, okay, these games are going to take a while to make. I'm fine, right? I want to see the fruits of these labors. And then when they purchased Bethesda, that was when I truly were like, not only was I like, okay, Phil really pulled off some magic trick here, getting Satya to not only like not shut down Xbox, but to invest more in Xbox than anyone ever have. Yeah. And now it's like, I truly actually believe Microsoft as a company sees gaming as a pillar of their entire business, whereas before it was just seen as like a side project. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where like finally, you know, after all the mistakes, you know, after all the Connect and like $500 system, and we have another console for you and online, like all the baggage that came with the Xbox One, I finally felt like here's a CEO that understands what's going on. Here's the head of the division that is truly a gamer. And he's made all these promises, and he's making good on these promises. And like I've said, like I think the future of Xbox has never been brighter personally, you know. And like this further reinforces that, because it's not going to stop. You know, like there's going to be more acquisitions in the future. There are going to be more. Like if you are an Xbox fan, it's like not only do you have these 15 studios, you know, Xbox game studios that are working on content, you also have these 8 new studios from Bethesda. And then whatever else they get in the future. Like this isn't the old Xbox that everybody likes to dunk on and make fun of on Twitter and stuff like that. Like, you know, those days are basically over at this point. I don't think those people see that yet. Or if they do see it, maybe they'll, you know, flip back and understand that, you know, maybe they were a little bit wrong. But it's nothing but good things. Like Brad said, like job security, because if somebody else had acquired them, there might have been massive layoffs. Like Xbox doesn't need their PR department or their publishing arm. They have their own, but they literally took it all in and didn't fire anybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I'm sorry for kind of you know, segueing there, Forte. I know you haven't really given your thoughts on it yet. So.
No, you're good. And the biggest thing for me, and you guys are 100% right in everything that you're kind of saying in that regard. I just think it always just comes back to people just don't understand that no one truly knows. The only people that know about this stuff was Phil, people that was close to the vest. You know, they truly know what's going on. All of the things that we've been saying, for the most part, are things that we want to happen, and how it would be a benefit under the guidelines of what Xbox has basically been projecting to everybody. You know, Xbox been always talking about how Game Pass is the funnel that's going to feed the beast. That's basically it. That's what it is. And everybody's quick to say that, you know, Game Pass is it's killing games. It's not, you know, the benefits of it's like this lessening our experiences. You know, they're not putting good games in there. Like when you add something like Bethesda in there, now take it or leave it how you feel about their games and stuff, but you don't just spend $7.5 billion to just throw just anything, you know, games like that into Game Pass without a plan of knowing that this is going to be what the future of our service is. I always go back to how they did with Office and 365. They have no competition in that. They have no competition when it comes to that. And guess what they do? They bundle it in a subscription service with 45 million people that subscribe to it. And they make more money off of it that way than they did selling it individually. Why? Because investors and shareholders, when they see something like 45, 50 million people paying me anywhere from $10 to $15 a month on a regular basis, it makes them happy. And guess what? They finally did the same thing. And this has been a slow grind. You know, 2015, when they started doing the whole Play Anywhere initiative and they started putting their games on PC, you know, a lot of people, Xbox fans included, everybody was a little bit like miffed about that. Like, yo, why are we don't even have enough games on the platform for ourselves and you're giving them to other people. But over the course of the generation, they did it more and more. They communicated more and more. And it got to a point where it was accepted inside the Xbox community that, hey, it's not just us. It's about having these games playable by as many people as possible. And then that truly was realized when it came to Game Pass. And once again, he iterated on it, and I don't think he can say it any clearer because he personally said, I can only say this as clear as I can say it. Game Pass is the funnel, and Game Pass is going to be where these games are going to be available at.
Yeah, and people point to his thing of like, oh, you mentioned legacy and future and contracts and stuff, right? And people are going around thinking that legacy means like legacy IP. Like, oh, well, like, you know, Elder Scrolls has a legacy on PlayStation. That's what he's talking about. It's like, no, that's not what it means.
It means like ongoing games.
He's talking about Elder Scrolls Online.
Yeah,
right.
He even talked about that. He's like, you know, we obviously value those communities.
And future contracts also, like potentially Indiana Jones, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
That could be a multi-platform simply because Disney made that deal with Bethesda before Microsoft's involvement. Does Microsoft make it exclusive? Maybe, maybe not. But otherwise, that game could be. It's like I don't even know. Because I even see IGN being confused. They put out a video like, "Oh, this raises more questions than answers." I'm like, "Are you serious? Are you in the
how?"
Like this is his like basically this is Phil saying all the games are exclusive, right? I mean, he literally said at the beginning, he's like, I can't say that because Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo, but like he basically spelled it out in the Kotaku article when they were like, you do need to put these games on PlayStation. He's like, no. Like, yeah, I don't know how many people want to live in denial on this.
La La Land.
It's clear as day, I
mean, he said anywhere where there's Game Pass, that's where you'll find these games.
Well, that brings up the interesting question, though, Brap.
Yes.
Does Game Pass come to PlayStation or Switch in the future?
That's what I was thinking. Like, does that leave the door open for? Because that means, at least my interpretation of that is, hey, look, you know what? We want to get Game Pass on as many devices as possible because obviously that's going to translate to more subscriptions, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if Sony's willing to, open up their wall garden and let Game Pass into PlayStation.
We can already say that Sony's not willing to do that because if that was the case, I think Game Pass will already be there. Unless
Microsoft buys so many damn publishers that they kind of force their hand, like, hey, we got all these bangers, if you will. and your people over there not getting these bangers. So, what do you say?
But the question,
I agree. Like for example, what if they got Bethesda now? What if they also acquired Ubisoft
Or WB?
What if they also acquired WB and then Bandai Namco? I'm spitballing at this point, right?
Yeah.
All of these games these publishers put out, and now they're using the same format that they use with Bethesda. So, prior contractual obligations are going to continue to go to your platform, sure. But in 2-3 years' time, that's going to end up running out. And what are you going to be left with? At that point, I can see Sony going, you know what? Let's just shut this PS now down. Just go ahead and do Game Pass. But as of right now, with just Bethesda, I don't think that's something that they even want to really even think about at this point, because it's kind of like how with Apple Arcade, and they don't want Game Pass in the App Store,
right?
Because they got Apple Arcade. That's for them. That's competition. And until they stop doing Apple Arcade, which probably isn't going to happen anytime soon, since I think the last time I saw they were making a big profit from it.
They're like the number 3 publisher or something in gaming right now. Apple is. I forget. I forget what it is. But they're making boatloads of money right now on it.
Yeah, so they're probably going to continue on with that until it's no longer profitable. And then when they don't care, then sure. Go ahead and put that in the App Store, because we don't have something that's going to be potentially stopping. You know what? Hold up.
That's what I'm talking about.
Eric
Jennings.
Here.
Let's go.
I swear, Slow Basketball Voice is the Marvin Gaye of YouTube.
Oh boy!
You know what,
don't blow this man's head up.
You know what? Too late, because I can't leave my office right now because my head would not fit through the door. That's how big
you
my
look
head
like.
is right now.
You look like Martin when he fought Tommy Hearns.
Right. But no, I think they will have to acquire so many publishers that Sony would just really kind of have like no choice, because they don't want to end up being like Nintendo, where Nintendo is so heavily reliant on their first party, but not so much their third party. And I don't think with their games not selling the way Nintendo games sell, that they will want to be in that kind of position. So if that were to happen, they would definitely say, you know what, let's figure a way to get Game Pass on, and we'll figure it out.
Let me ask you guys something. Do you guys, because Nintendo is kind of very protective of their brand, extremely protective. Do you think Nintendo would even let Game Pass on the Nintendo Switch?
It's been talked about for years.
Yeah.
I mean, in the sense that Microsoft and Nintendo have talked about it for years.
Yeah.
So
I think it would be a great move for both of them. Honestly,
I literally think that the first domino fell when they allow launchers for Xbox Live for like Minecraft. Like I always go back to that Play Together update. That was when Sony they were so against that. They refused. They didn't even have an update for Minecraft to even get the HD update, the crossplay update. And it was like a good calendar year that went on. And once that failed, I was like, anything could happen. And then you get a person like Jim Ryan that used to be the CFO of the company of PlayStation, moved over to the head. At a certain point, dollars make sense. Now, it always comes back to the thing like, okay, people always say, well, they're not going to put Game Pass on PlayStation because a lot of third-party games are in there. And Game Pass doesn't have to exist the same way that it exists on Xbox and PC. I mean, if you look at PC and Xbox Game Pass are two completely different things. Now they're going to become more aligned the further we get in this journey, because shout out to Aaron Greenberg once again when he actually responded to the tweet. I asked him, I was like, "Yo, are these games coming to Game Pass PC?" And he said, "For the yes, the majority of them are," and that's going to add a huge boom to the PC side of Game Pass. But when it comes to PlayStation, if Sony does decide to let this happen, it's not going to exist the same way it exists on Xbox. It won't be probably third-party games in there. It might only be Xbox games. More likely, it's only going to be Xbox games in there.
That's a great point, Forte.
And that's going to be, in their eyes, think about this. People complain forever about where are the first-person shooters on PlayStation. We don't know what's going on with Killzone anymore. They don't. It seems like they're never going to bring back SOCOM because people keep asking about it. But you got a service that you can subscribe to on their platform that they don't even have to maintain, by the way, because this is all maintained on the back end through Azure and through Microsoft's cloud infrastructure. And you get games like Halo, you get games like Gears, you get probably the best racing game that was made in this last generation in Forza.
24 million players they just announced today.
Exactly. All on that same platform for a subscription service that you have access to. Why wouldn't PlayStation want that over there? Unless they just don't want to deal with Xbox in general, anyways. But it just comes back to one thing. It's how I think the one thing I think this announcement today kind of solidified is the fact that throughout this generation, the fact that these systems are still hard to find, the fact that people are going to be making decisions throughout the course of this year, now that they came out and said, hey, Bethesda games, wherever Game Pass is, those games will be at. And they left it at that for the most part, except for the contractual stuff that, as of right now, we know about Ghostwire, we know about Deathloop, and there's probably some other ones out there. So I wouldn't say that every little thing outside of the games that's already been announced is going to be part of that contractual obligation. But we do know at some point that's going to end. And once a lot of these other newer games start coming out that they haven't even started talking about, what are you going to do then? Are you going to say, I'm just going to miss out on these games? We always say, if Xbox gets games, then I'm going to buy an Xbox. Or you could go on PC or on the many other ways that you could play Xbox Game Pass. Xbox is making it simple for you to make a decision that a lot of people didn't think they would ever do. And that's the one thing that I'm excited about the most.
So
I just real quick, Rand, before you go, I just wanted to say one thing about what you said, Forte. I do think Sony will have a first-person shooter, first party, real soon. Because
I think so too.
Guerrilla Games doubled their staff and made a second
which
team.
Which game were they doing? They doing Killzone or SOCOM? I personally think it's SOCOM.
I think it's SOCOM too.
I think it's SOCOM as well, but it's definitely they stole. Well, not still, but they got a lot of people from Rainbow Six Siege team to join that team. They're definitely doing a multiplayer game based off of their job openings, and it's definitely going to be a shooter. So
Sony's going to do more multiplayer stuff. They're going to have to and you saw Walt Williams was hired by Insomniac, right? Writer for Spec Ops: The Line and all that stuff. What's the odds he's writing potentially a new Resistance game, another new shooter for them, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Like that's what I think. But I was going to say,
I would agree with that.
I was going to say the whole thing where Phil said about Game Pass coming to other platforms, or the game's only coming where Game Pass exists, and the talk about, is it possible Game Pass and xCloud go to PlayStation or the Switch? And my answer to that be never say never. Because there was a point in time not that long ago where people said PlayStation would never bring their games to PC, right? That PlayStation would never allow crossplay, or PlayStation would never allow Xbox Live on PlayStation Network, and they did, and all these different things. Like a lot of the nevers were disproven this generation, right? So I think if Jim Ryan called up Phil tomorrow and said, "Phil, we would love to have a Game Pass and xCloud on PlayStation Network," that deal will be signed in a heartbeat.
Yep.
Absolutely. Same thing with Nintendo. Like, there's some talk that, like, if the PlayStation 5 can get their browser unblocked, then you could run Game Pass through the browser, like, because xCloud's gonna be in the browser pretty soon, right? But that doesn't benefit PlayStation anyway, right? That's just all benefits Xbox, because someone would have to subscribe outside of PlayStation. Like, so Forte's right in the sense that, like, let's imagine a scenario where Jim Ryan says yes. Who knows? Maybe he does. Maybe Xbox strong arms PlayStation, uses Bethesda and all the studios they have as sort of a leverage to for the argument, and then maybe say, a year from now Xbox buys Sega, or a year from now, or 2 years from now they buy Ubisoft, and now Xbox has this conglomerate of studios and games that used to be on PlayStation that Phil can then take to these platform holders and be like, if you allow Game Pass on here, we'll give you all these games back. And what are the? It's possible that happens. So I would never say never on that. I could totally see. I think Game Pass would show up on Switch first, and that would be incredible because that's basically just a portable Xbox at that point, right? An actual portable Xbox. Yeah. I think PlayStation is a little bit more probably against it because even though they're like Sony's business model is a little bit different than Xbox's, they're still fairly similar. Mm-hmm. And they also have their own subscription service that they sell. So maybe it's a little bit more difficult, but who knows what the future brings. But it would be crazy, right? Can you imagine one day like PlayStation and Xbox announce like, hey, we're bringing Game Pass and xCloud to PS5 or whatever, right? It would be something else.
Xbox with a heart in the middle with Sony next to it.
I see a future where everyone just games on PC. This is where all this is all going. Everything's going to be on PC.
Well, I mean, that ultimately comes back to the fact that whenever Microsoft decides that, and I don't think we'll get to that point.
I'm joking, by the way.
No, seriously. Let's entertain that thought.
No,
seriously.
I mean, but seriously, PC's becoming a very attractive platform. At least for me, it is.
And it's the thing, and I always give you crap about it, and I want to give you the floor on that. But the biggest thing that I always tell people is, and everybody knows this, none of these companies want to make hardware. They make hardware in order to be profitable around the games and stuff that they make. Now, Xbox has separated themselves away from that ever so slightly throughout all last generation. They don't depend on the box. Now, they'll still give you the box because people like Rand, they want to have the box. They don't.
Well, yeah, your most engaged users, the ones who spend the most money, are on the box.
They want the box. But once they get to a threshold where they see diminishing returns in making the box, they'll make the decision to just put that thing on. It's like I said, PC will probably be the hardware platform. Xbox will probably be a dongle that you plug up into your TV, that you hook up a controller to, and you stream stuff that way. That's not the future we all want. Trust me, I don't want that future. No, no, hell no.
That future is. I mean, that future will happen, but I mean, it's kind of a little
doomsday thing.
There's going to be another generation of hardware.
Yes,
right. People aren't going to buy into streaming right away, but Xbox is all about basically like lowering the barriers of how you play their game, right? Yeah. And like people should want like Game Pass to get as many users as it can, because once it reaches a certain point, I've said it. I think multiplayer paywall's gone once it does. I think they have a target internally of if Game Pass Ultimate or Game Pass reaches this threshold, gold is gone.
Oh yeah, I agree, 100%.
And I think part of the hope is like you go into markets like India and South Korea, some of the European countries that maybe don't want to buy a console but do kind of game mobily. And that, some of those people subscribe and stuff and grows the ecosystem. And then we don't got to pay for multiplayer on consoles anymore,
Yeah. I got Darkside with the $5 holla. So happy to hear from this great panel on this historic day for video games. Look, man, it's today was a great day. I remember talking to
Forte. How long ago did I tell you that these games would be exclusive?
Oh yeah, like as soon, like literally not even an hour after this announcement that they were actually purchasing Bethesda happened.
I mean, we were talking when we were playing with and even then I was just like, because you guys were like, you sweating this? I'm like, nah,
no,
like I knew.
Well, there was one person sweating it, and I kept telling, I said, yo, stop backing down, because he was like really sweating the fact that this is a thing. Like I was telling people, I was like, listen, this is your opinion on what is actually going to happen isn't going to be the make or break thing. It just, this is what you believe in. I believe the game should be exclusive because I feel like Xbox is heading in a direction that they need to be exclusive if they want to be successful in what they want to do. You don't put your games on other platforms and sell them in that regard to do it. Now, Game Pass is a completely different thing because then they're not buying it on, they're subscribing to your platform, but they happen to be on a different platform. That's no different than PC at that point. So if Game Pass is always going to be the catalyst, it doesn't matter where the games go. And I've always been a fan of that because I think that's what absolutely works. But people just need to understand that, you know, these games are going, the closer and closer we get to 2022, 2023, and the more that these games start coming out, you got to realize that Bethesda games are going to be available, guaranteed, on platforms that support Game Pass. And you're playing Russian roulette on every other platform. But shout out to the wonderful Ash and Luca. Yesterday she was running away from the Xbox. Now she says, "Father Phil." She's running to his arms. That's what we're talking about. You know why she's doing that? Because first of all, shout out to the wonderful Ashley Luca. She got her brand new PC.
Luca,
she's got a nice PC.
She got a better PC than me. She's almost up there with Slow Mo. She's probably
everyone on this panel has a better PC than you, Forte.
Probably so.
No. My PC is I bought this PC at the end of 2017. It's got a i7 7700K with a 1080 in it. But I will be upgrading.
Nice.
To I'll probably get a one of those pre-builds with the 3080 and something for content because like my next step for content is going to be everything in 4K and 4K
that's what I'm trying
on
to
my
do.
PC right now, so I definitely need
but
it's one of those things where you buy it and I can expense that on my taxes. You know what I'm saying?
Ooh, I hear that.
Hey,
I expense my 65-inch OLED as a business expense this year. It's pretty good.
Oh yeah, your financial advisor was like, "Rand, you're making too much money. I need you to spend more."
Well, it was like one of those things. I need this TV for the business I do, so expense that.
If you work from home, you can write off a lot of stuff. Your internet bill, utilities, things like that, write-offs.
Yeah, but yeah, it's just been a crazy day for all that stuff. But I do want to dive in to that PlayStation side a little bit more.
Hey, but before we do that, I kind of want
to
expand on something that Rand was saying about Switch being probably if Game Pass goes to some of the other console platforms, Switch would be the first one. I agree with that. And I just want to kind of expound on that for a moment. It would be such a great deal for both Xbox and Nintendo because Nintendo will be getting access to games that previously don't really go to the Switch. And that's like your big AAA third-party games that their hardware doesn't really handle. And if you can stream that through xCloud, that's even better. xCloud right now, 720p resolution, 60 frames per second. Hey, that's pretty much right around the range of the Switch anyway. So, it would be good for both parties because the Switch would get games that they don't normally get, and then therefore would also be providing it to a completely different demographic that normally doesn't really venture into that arena because they don't have the actual hardware to get that. And then for Microsoft, you're looking at 75 plus million install base that is now a new playground and new potential to get more subscribers to Game Pass, which is their platform now. And now I did want to say something else, that the more Game Pass grows and the bigger it gets, the more attractive it becomes to third-party developers that initially weren't going to go day and date in Game Pass and scoffed at it. Now it's like, well, man, I mean, if you get to like about 40 million subscribers, I mean, then you average out how many of those people play the game and then say, oh, let me go buy this for that 20% discount that's in Game Pass. That's a good number of sales. And then Microsoft probably can stop having to give people so much money up front to put their games in Game Pass and can start the actual service sells it to developers instead of the money up front selling it to them.
Yeah, I could see that scenario, Slow-Mo, for some third party, but for like games like Call of Duty, NBA 2K, I don't see that scenario per se, because
I mean 2K just came.
Yeah, but it came like what? Like how many months after release though? I mean, the game released
October, November, December, January, 5 or 6 months.
5 or 6 months. So yeah, I mean, so I'm not saying they'll never come. What I'm saying is I don't see them coming day.
But that's significant though that they came though, because think about it, we're still in the middle of the NBA. See,
because they got to remember they've hit that threshold already where they've kind of
they hit that threshold because they told people that they were going to spend $70 on their games a long time ago, and I told people, I was like, listen, NBA 2K players don't care about $70 because they normally spend $100.
I was gonna let me just say this. I agree with Slow-Mo, and I think another way you could say what he's trying to get across is that if Game Pass hits that critical mass of 40, 50 million, right, it might be detrimental for you not to have your game in Game Pass.
Might be.
Right? Where like all these companies look at it and be like, yo, like we need it in Game Pass because it drives sales, right? You've all heard the rumor that Ubisoft Plus might be heading to Game Pass at the end of the year, right? I'm sure.
Yeah, we heard it.
I wouldn't be surprised if Microsoft sends in the info and obviously Microsoft will pay for it, right? Just like it did with EA. Like, here's a check, join. But they might look at it like, this is only good for us. This is going to drive engagement. We'll get more sales. We'll get more people playing. And the more games that come out, like when Xbox really starts hitting, like if this fall, like I imagine this scenario for this fall, Xbox could potentially be launching Halo Infinite, right? Assuming it doesn't. But I think it's a lock for coming out, right? Halo Infinite, Starfield. I'm of the opinion that Starfield is this holiday. So I'm ride with it till I die.
Yeah,
Starfield,
I agree with that.
Halo, Forza Horizon 5, right? As a 1, 2, 3 September, October, November punch, with the addition of Ubisoft Plus in Game Pass around November. And then they could have Battlefield 6 co-marketing in a time where Sony more than likely is going to have to delay God of War to 2022. Who knows about Horizon Forbidden West, right? Where Microsoft buys Bethesda and they can immediately slot in some games that were, about to be ready, like Starfield. And then Xbox can start building a cohesive and very effective message about why you need to get Xbox now, not next year, but now. And when you further go it out, it's like 2022, Hellblade 2, Everwild, Wolfenstein 3, Forza Motorsport, I'm trying to think, Avowed, just off the top of my head.
Right.
And once these games all start hitting, plus whatever deals they have with some indies and some other people, plus like other publishers might look at that and see what's going on and might think to themselves, like to your point, Brap, about Activision, they might be like, shit, we might need to get in on this.
Well,
you know what I mean? Like, or Take Two, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that it's that it would never happen. I think for those companies, though, it'd have to be a point where they, like you said, Ren, where Game Pass hits that critical mass, where it makes sense for them financially to put those games day and date Game Pass, and they make up that lost revenue because Game Pass. I would assume it would be like a discount of like 20% off or whatever it is now for those games.
It is, If you buy a game that's in Game Pass, it's 20% off the.
So it would have to make sense for them financially, where they're making that difference up from critical mass. They're not getting those because they're not getting those $70 sales. And that's the thing. I mean, these games are selling like hotcakes right now, $70, and the question becomes: is that advantageous for Take-Two or Activision to do that? Maybe the future. I don't see it right now. I definitely see them putting those games in, 4 or 5 months down the road. I think that makes more sense for them because now they can kind of, it'd be kind of like an adrenaline shot.
And
that's what they're already doing because they just put NBA 2K in.
Yep.
And this is like what 5 months after that launch. So
Dirt 5 is in there after 3 months, I believe.
Yeah. I would say this right now, and if someone from Xbox is listening, please take heed of this. If you get Ubisoft Plus and Game Pass, I will never unsub.
Well, if they do get Ubisoft Plus, I don't think it'll be new games day one. It'll just be like, here's the entire back catalog of all of our games.
Which is fine because you also get all the expansion stuff. because Ubisoft Plus also, if you have that, if you're sub to that, you get all the expansions. You get all the games that are already out as well. So that's like if Division 2 comes out with an expansion, the next season for Rainbow Six Siege. That's all the additional content stuff of something like Phoenix Rising's expansion that's coming out soon. All that stuff. If you have Ubisoft Plus, you just get that. You can just go ahead and download it. It's there. So that like I said, for me personally, because I dig Ubisoft games, that would be an immediate like permanent sub for me.
And what if they're able to see? This other thing is is a lot of games missed Xbox this gen, right? Because the platform wasn't as popular as PlayStation. Some Japanese titles missed because they think Xbox gamers don't want them. Game Pass kind of changes some of that. We saw Yakuza. The entire series is on Xbox at this point, right?
What about Dragon Quest?
Dragon Quest came over.
That's huge.
I think. Don't be shocked when Persona comes over.
That's why I think I
could see that.
That
like,
whole
I think
thing,
Xbox, like the more people that invest in Xbox through Game Pass and other avenues will only make the platform too big to ignore, I guess is the word the phrase I'll use.
Absolutely, yeah.
And like Game Pass is there. So you're right, maybe Xbox gamers wouldn't necessarily pay full price for Persona 5. But maybe they'll check it out in Game Pass. Like, who knows how this all plays out? I'm sure they would have to, pay for it. But Xbox is all about, they're trying to make this like, when you think gaming subscription, you're thinking of Xbox, right? Mm-hmm. And, now that they've completely knocked out Stadia, I'm like, what a joke, right? Like,
they killed themselves when they first announced it.
I think that was doomed from day one.
Well, it was doomed for day one, but like now you're like, and Luna, like, I don't know if you guys saw, but the head of Luna left. Right?
Yeah, I saw that.
It's just like, and Phil always said, like, my competition in that space is Tencent, Amazon, and Google. And I'm sure Phil's very, very happy to be the one to knock out Google. Google was never fully invested like they claimed, right? It was all just token speech about, whatever. Like, they were never 100% invested.
And they clearly didn't understand what it meant to make games in the video game market. They basically expected AAA games without AAA budgets, and they expected them done in like a year or two, not understanding that the more visual fidelity you put into a game, the bigger the budget has to be, the more time it's going to take with more manpower. They literally under managed and under delivered on everything. It's crazy that they. I really feel bad for those developers too, because especially the developer for Journey to the
Savage Planet.
Yeah, they acquired that developer and now laid off that fast. Like,
and they were planning a sequel, right?
Yeah.
It's unfortunate. It's horrible for the 150 developers who lost their jobs, right?
Yeah.
But it's just Google was never. I think Google was like, okay, if we launch first, we can maybe make some inroads, even though they didn't have any games anybody wanted to play. Like, it was all just old stuff. Mm-hmm. And then, because I know for a fact Microsoft and Sony were terrified of Google and Amazon. Like, terrified. I'm not mincing words. They were scared shitless, right? I think mainly because of the pocketbook that Google has.
Right.
And
if they were truly invested, they could take
were
some
worried that they were going to come in there and buy some stuff and like, and everything Xbox was doing with xCloud was always in a response to Stadia. And the way they launched it and how it kind of played out. And then, once Xbox bought Bethesda, I mean, you saw the comments from Kotaku, like Phil Harrison's like, yeah, they bought Bethesda. And we were like, nope, Google's like, we're done. We're not, well, that's how much money it's going to take to invest to maybe not get anything. No, we're good. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Right.
But yeah, I mean, like this all just is like, I mean, it's a crazy day to be sitting here because this is exactly what we've been speculating since like September, and it's always gratifying to be right about something. You know what I mean? I don't like being wrong. Like how many times did I say Splinter Cell was coming back, and I knew somebody who worked on it, which is true. It's just I got my face on being wrong about Splinter Cell, but it's just always nice to be like, okay, I knew this was happening, and like I read the tea leaves, and it's exactly what I thought it would be. And it only means good things for us because like now the Bethesda games are going to be everywhere and they're going to be like super cheap. Like you don't have to spend $70 on them to play them. You can play them for $10, and then you'll have access to a whole bunch of different. Like Xbox is honestly, it's like they knew they couldn't win against Sony with the current way the market was, right? Like they knew they couldn't compete in that manner, and it was just like, well, if we can't win, we'll just change the game, right? So you change it around to this like recurring revenue model with Game Pass as the as the driver, as the pinwheel or the flywheel, whatever they call it, and you make a different game about it. And since you have the full backing of Microsoft, you can do things that you never were able to do before. You can buy publishers that you honestly couldn't be able to do, and you have time to essentially burn through those introductory offers of like, hey, get Game Pass $1 for 3 months, right? Where before you wouldn't have been able to do that, but because of that like support, now you're able to do that, and now you've completely shifted the entire market potentially. Like I'll say potentially because who knows how this all plays out in the long run. But I think it's definitely what's the word I'm looking paradigm
shift.
Paradigm shift. Like, totally.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's definitely a disruptor in the console industry for sure. And the industry, and Jeff Grubb mentioned this last night on Brap, shameless plug, where he said other areas, other industries are moving to this reoccurring revenue model in entertainment, movies, music. It just makes sense that the gaming industry is moving in that direction. And I brought up PC earlier. We've seen this on PC for quite some time now. Where Slomo, you mentioned Ubisoft, or I forget what it's called. Is it Ubi Plus or something? I forget what it's called.
Yeah, we were just talking about it. It's Ubisoft Plus.
So I subscribe to that because hell yeah, $160 for the year, and I get like there's 3 Ubi games I'm gonna play definitely, and those games already pay for the service themselves, plus the entire library of Ubi games. Like it just makes sense, and I do think though. We talked about Sony. Just kind of go back to them a little bit. I do think Sony, though. I don't know, and Rand's right. Like you never say never. This industry, like whoever thought that Microsoft would have bought Bethesda or ZeniMax, right? But I do think that Sony at some point they may be like the Disney Plus of like what we see Disney's kind of entered to the foray and is challenging Netflix now. I think Sony's going to pivot at some point and start investing more into their own subscription service. And like Disney, Sony's got a lot of that nostalgia that we talked about when we talked about Nintendo last night on Brap, how, Nintendo can get away with some of the things they do because they have that brand loyalty, that brand that over the last, 40 something years that Nintendo's been around that they've earned. Sony's kind of in the same, is kind of in that same spot because, they've been around, 25 plus years. And they have those beloved franchises that people really, really hold near and dear to them as gamers. They could pivot and come out and maybe beef up PlayStation now, whatever, or maybe it's PlayStation Plus that becomes their, Game Pass. They could be like the Disney, and I honestly think that's more the more logical outcome for them to do that. And I think they'll need to do it to survive and to be able to make some of the games that they want to continue to make. Because, like I said earlier, these games are getting super expensive. And if Sony's going to double down, like they said, they're going to double down on making these big AAA games. And I think this is a big reason why they're putting their games on PC to generate more revenue. I think they're going to have some kind of model or focus on a subscription service that's giving them a lot of recurring revenue.
Yeah,
if they want to stay in the game.
Yeah,
long term.
Yeah, I think your analogy is good. I just think it's a little off because I think the way I look at it, especially when it comes to Xbox, I see Xbox as being that Netflix. They were not the first to do it. Other companies have tried to do this whole whole packaging of games and stuff, but they're the ones to do it at a level that they're doing it now. So a lot of people they're going to know them for that. When it comes to like that Disney Plus thing, like PlayStation, don't get me wrong, I love PlayStation games, but there's only one company that I feel like could be Disney Plus when it comes to games, and that's if Nintendo did something like that. If they do something like that, they would literally blow away a lot of the stuff that's going on. I still think Xbox would still stand forward and be ahead of the game because of the third party side of it. I think that would be the thing that will push them over the finish line over something like Sony, Nintendo doing something like that. PlayStation would actually do really, really well. I think, but right now we do see they already have that type of service. Now, part of it might be the fact that they don't talk about it.
It's
something they don't promote actively.
It's not their focal point.
It's not their focal point.
No.
And it shouldn't be their focal point because they're literally leading from what they already know. And this is the one thing I always kept telling people about Xbox. The reason I was so behind what they did, and it never bothered me about the whole putting games on PC and the whole Game Pass initiative. It wasn't that I felt like it devalued games, because I openly told people, I was like, being a person that works at a video game store, working for a company, I don't have to buy too many games. I barely buy them at all. It's certain ones I have to buy because they give them to me on other platforms and I want to play them on Xbox. So I go out and buy those, but that's very far in between. So I do get that little feeling where you don't really value your games as much because you don't have to pay for them. And it's completely different when you're the one flipping the bill for all the games that you're playing. But when it comes to games that PlayStation is doing, it's like, I look at it more as a direction that they want to go in. They want to be that system that you say, hey, you own this system for these games, where Xbox is like, you own our system to play as many games as freaking possible, no matter where those games are. And you can take those games to any platform that you want to play on. And I've always been behind it because that's their core competency. They are a service-based company through and through, and that fits who they are. And Sony is a hardware company through and through. That's why they are embedded in so many different things. So I think that is the main reason that I think is going to be the hard thing for Sony, because they have to convert from that. But the moment they do convert from that, I think will be the best thing for them. But who knows? It might be too late. But before I turn it over to you, I'm gonna get RA89 with the $5 super chat. If Xbox really opens the door of Edge, it's going to be hard to compete with Xbox. RetroArch Steam, Game, GeForce on top of Game Pass, the ultimate box. Absolutely. I mean, and you know what? A lot of that stuff is very far-reaching, and it could absolutely become that one day.
Well, we'll have to wait and see.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's all a wait and see thing
if
at that
it's truly
point.
open. But hey, I just wanted to say 114 people watching, 63 likes. Make sure you guys hit the like button if you're enjoying the podcast. Slow Mo and Forte put on a good show,
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, I appreciate it. Okay, go ahead.
I was gonna say
I was about to cry.
Forte,
I was about to cry.
That's a great point about Microsoft and them being a service-based company and being able to pivot the way they do or have. That might be a little bit more challenging for Sony, because Sony is obviously a hardware manufacturing company. But the one thing that Sony could do, which is kind of interesting, with like let's say they beef up PlayStation Now. PlayStation Now becomes like really their full fleshed out Game Pass. They can add other entertainment to bolster the value of that kind of subscription service. Like, I think they own like Crunchyroll and
but they already discontinued all their movies on their platform, which was the craziest thing I've ever thought.
Yeah, but I
was like, why would you do that? That's literally part of the lifeblood of what Sony is.
But they could always go back and maybe kind of bundle that back into like a service where they know that people are it's gonna get more exposure, because the entry point for that service is gaming, as opposed to it's just a single service with movies, right?
Right.
You're trying to get people who game on a console, who primarily use their PlayStation 5, as a gaming device.
Right.
Now, if you get them locked into a quote unquote, Game Pass like service on Sony, you can kind of bundle all those other things into that, and perhaps maybe that gives them a little bit more exposure, or those other entertainment avenues a little more exposure that they probably wouldn't get if they were just kind of isolated in their own island on the PlayStation 5 dashboard. So
I'm thinking if they discontinue movies the way they did, then more than likely it was a very insignificant number of people that was actually using that service on PSN.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, so
they,
it probably was like we're actually either breaking even with getting the license to put these games on here,
money.
or we're losing money because not enough people are actually utilizing what we're spending money to get here. So let's just get rid of it, and it's going to benefit us better. Look, man, Jim. If I'm lying, I'm dying. Ryan don't like to lose money. Okay, so he's definitely going to look at the financials and be like, yeah, we don't need this. Then if this is all it's bringing in and how much we're spending on it, let's cut that.
Right,
so, yeah. like a true CFO, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, CFO acting as CEO. Yep. That's pretty much what he is. But no, I mean it's all good. Ultimately, all this basically okay. Everybody, the 120. Shout out to the 121. Look, man,
let's get those likes up.
The power of having
having Brap on here. That's
and having Brap in here. Because we doing these. We out here doing Basic Radio arcade numbers now. Shout out to Brap and shout out to Randall over coming through. But listen, man, I don't care who you are in the chat. This is the great opportunity that you have in front of you right now. If you're an Xbox fan that doesn't have Game Pass, there's many videos out there that tells you how to do it. Rand has one, Zocker has one. Go out there and max out your Game Pass as much as you can, because there will be a point where they ain't gonna just keep giving this thing away as much as they're giving away right now. Right now, it's just the honeymoon phase. Sooner or later, people will be paying full price for this thing. So go out there and get the finesse while you can and get you 3 years worth of this stuff. And if you're a PlayStation gamer, I hear a lot of PlayStation gamers got really good PCs. And if you got a really good PC, you don't have to buy an Xbox to play these games and enjoy them. Just make sure you do it on PC as well. But if you're a person that's on the fence and you don't know what platform, or say you want to get a PlayStation 5, think long and hard, because this is like a paradigm shift, like Rand just said. If you're a fan of Bethesda games, and you're just a fan of games in general, and if you're that person that always said, once Xbox has games, I'll come, they pretty much told you today that that's the reality that we have. Sure, some of those games are still going to be available on other platforms for the most part, but you don't know what games those are going to be. You know with 100% certainty that if you have a Game Pass subscription and you have an Xbox or you have a PC, you will experience every game that Xbox has to offer. And that should be the thing you took away from the conversation that they had at that round table, and the way that they're actually going to be, talking about this in the future. But ultimately, that's all it really just comes down to. What do you guys think about that as we finish out the rest of that topic?
Yo, I think we killed it. Go ahead, man.
I know.
No, it was great. I mean, seriously, it was a great conversation here around this. And again, I got to say, I think for me, I mean, obviously, I've been very critical of Microsoft, of Xbox in the last couple of years.
Yes, you have been.
Because I got to remember, I came from a time where Xbox was really aggressive in getting content. Like I always talk about, like Ninja Gaiden exclusive on Xbox. Like what? Like really? Like that was huge. That was huge. And now I feel like they're kind of back at that place again, where it's like, okay, we're addressing, the issue with content, and they have some really, really talented people there at the studios, and I really hope that these studios really put out some really good content, because obviously that's a win for us, for anyone who's on the Xbox platform, and I get excited when I see acquisitions like Double Fine. I mean, I don't hear people talk enough about Double Fine. Tim Schafer's super talented, and I remember when Psychonauts, when Ed Freeze first announced Psychonauts at E3 on the Xbox stage for the OG Xbox, I was like, oh shit, they got Tim Schafer, and now he's back exclusively making content. These are exciting times for me as a gamer, at least exciting times. Regardless of whether you have an Xbox or not, I think you should still be excited. And the fact that there's, like we talked about earlier, there's people that, one, they have jobs now, and two, like Todd Howard was talking about, like I really believe this, because I really think that this is going to allow developers to take creative risks that maybe they wouldn't take, because, hey, you know what, this game might get lost in the shuffle, and I don't know, this might not be a moneymaker. Perhaps they don't have to worry about that now, and we can get some really, really good games that kind of break the mold of content that we're used to playing.
And this could allow Bethesda to go back to their strengths. I mean, let's be honest here. Like, I think the industry shifted from underneath them in a way that they weren't prepared for, right? You start out this generation, everything's single player, right? That's what they're good at. They were very good at making those single player experiences. But then the shift towards games as a service started, right? The Fortnites, all those different, the Call of Duty Warzones, right? And you could see Bethesda try to shift with it. You know, they made Fallout 76, they made Wolfenstein Youngblood. A lot of their more recent games were orientated around games as a service, and quite frankly, they just weren't good at it, right?
Right.
But now with the safety net that is Game Pass, you don't necessarily need every game to be games as a service. They can go back to doing exactly what they've always wanted to do, and don't have to worry really hard about the monetization aspect of it all. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. That's a great point, Rand. I mean, and like, you're right. Like when Fallout 76 came out, like, it was like, oh my gosh, like, it was not good.
And you saw even Todd was like one of the first people he called was Phil. About that. So
yeah.
I think not having to worry about your financial stability really is going to allow these developers to kind of develop the games that they want to develop in the way that they want to develop them, to not have to implement features that don't really fit with the IP, but you're really trying to catch a wave. For example, Wolfenstein Youngblood, with the elements that are kind of like looter shooter-ish, where guns have levels and stuff like that. That's not Wolfenstein. That's not what people play Wolfenstein for.
No.
And so, like, I think they implemented things like that because they were trying to appeal to a particular crowd that wasn't really all that interested in Wolfenstein anyway. And they don't have to do that anymore. You can make Wolfenstein, the next Wolfenstein, what Wolfenstein New Colossus and World Order.
Remember that scene in Wolfenstein?
Which one? The second one?
The one on the submarine, remember? Was that Wolfie 2? Do you know what I'm talking about?
That was 2. I know what you're talking about.
On the table?
With the German? With the German? Yeah. Like, look, see.
No, not the German. Not that one. Because the one with BJ Blazkowicz and what's her face?
Is it the second game?
I don't think
it's the second.
Man,
I don't know. I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't know.
Neither one of y'all played.
No, it might be the first.
Wait, hold on.
I'm just talking. Shut up.
Yeah,
I know about
shut up. Tell me to shut up.
Well, hey, Forte doesn't look. Here's the thing, Slow-Mo. Forte may talk about me, co-oping, Souls, Bloodborne, but he doesn't play games. He only plays one game.
Huh? Oh, I'm not going to disagree with you on that.
Well, let me finish up here. I think it'll be good to see them go back to making the kind of games they want to make. But I do think that, and this is something that I would like to see improved with Xbox Game Studios, that Bethesda, they are still managing their own content. So as far as the game development side of things, Matt Booty and company aren't really working on that, but improvement on the actual final product.
Yeah.
And for Bethesda Game Studios, games that aren't as buggy as the previous entries were. For the public side of things, just kind of like polishing up some of the areas that people may have not felt were the very best. And hopefully with the Xbox Game Studios as well, because I think I love the fact that they give them the creative freedom to make what they want. What I don't particularly care for is, it seems like that level of autonomy is sometimes it needs to be reined in. Because if you, for example, Halo Infinite, it shouldn't have got to the point where the game is shown and visually isn't looking next gen before you realize you got a delay. Like that should have been something that should have been decided a long time ago. Sea of Thieves, it comes out with no content, and it's like beautiful water, beautiful game, but there's nothing to do here.
That Kraken ain't got no body though.
Right. Well, yeah, the Kraken is incomplete. And then, but now you look at Sea of Thieves now, there's content all over the place. There's expansions, there's story content, but they're like, that's what it should have been at launch. And what I would love to see from them is that you don't need the Xbox community to tell you what the game needs, because you're so tuned into what the Xbox community is looking for that you, before they even see the game, can tell the developer, this is great. You got a great foundation here, but this is what else we think it needs.
Yeah. So we're running down to the very end of the show, and as a lot of people that watch this show, and if you're new to the show, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, check out my boy Slow-Mo Backslap, trying to get into 1,000. If you want to see
the big 1,000,
get into 1,000. If you want to see him sweating bug snacks over there, that's what you need to do.
Gosh.
But shout out. Listen, we got enough people in here right now that can go over to. Matter of fact, Brap, can you go get that man's YouTube URL and put it in the chat? We got enough people over here right now to make it happen tonight if we can. But no, I do.
If it happens tonight, I am not streaming bug snacks.
No. We'll give you.
No, you gotta stream it this weekend, and you gotta get the platinum.
Yeah.
Well,
Exactly.
Well, you gonna stop adding that platinum thing in here every time we talk about this. You tried to slide in, get the platinum, and I'm like, that was never part of the deal.
I thought it
not
was
getting the platinum on bug snacks.
Now, yeah.
All right, look. All right, everyone. He's at 920 subs right now. We have 127 people watching.
Oh my gosh.
He needs 80 more people. I'm sure there's 80 people in this live chat right now that have not subscribed to Slow-Mo Backslash channel. Let's get him to 1,000 tonight. Let's do it.
Jeez, that hurts.
No, but
the majority of you have not subbed to
okay, that came out wrong. But.
So listen.
But I just dropped the link.
That's what I'm talking about. So please support. So and honestly,
and wait, if we get up to 1,000 tonight, I will do a game giveaway on Brap on Wednesday night.
Facts. There we go. So listen now. Now, I'm not telling people to go sub to his channel just to get him to 1,000. The man makes great content. He does. The man talks about things that most other YouTubers don't. He talks about the industry in ways that people don't. So that's why I will always support the content that man brings out. So, sub if you definitely are into stuff like that. But it would definitely help us get him to 1,000 so we can get that stream. But as all people most know about our show, we try to have a little Q&A at the end, like 5 minutes, because we're winding it down to the end. So if you guys got any questions, especially since we got, Brappin and Rand on the show, let those questions fire. But while we're waiting for those to come in, to give them like a minute to say it, what do you guys think? What is going to be we do know a bunch of Bethesda games are coming tomorrow. What's the first, but if you're going to play a Bethesda game tomorrow, what is that first game you're going to play? And what is the next Xbox game that releases that you guys are looking forward to the most?
Let's see. I played most of the Bethesda games, right? Like I know Luca had a great tweet the other day where she showed off her trophies and achievements, and because there are people frauding out here in these streets. You know what I'm saying about when it comes to Bethesda, right? Like, I mean, just off the top of my head, like I've beat all the Wolfenstein games. I've beat all the Doom games. I've beat all the Dishonored 1 and 2, but I haven't played Death of the Outsider yet, even though I own it. I beat Fallout 3 and Skyrim and Oblivion. I haven't played Fallout 4 yet. I mean, I basically played like all of them except for Fallout 4. So I saw Fallout 4 was added, even though I already own all the games. The thing that interests me, Forte, is that Aaron Greenberg talked about FPS boosts coming to certain games. He mentioned Oblivion, and we've already seen Microsoft had that test with Fallout 4. I would be interested in maybe waiting to see if like Dishonored Death of the Outsider gets a 60 FPS boost or Fallout 4 gets a 60 FPS boost before I play those games. Because then that edition would be like, okay, I'll play Fallout 4 and Dishonored Death of the Outsider at that point because I played all the other ones. What was the other question?
What's the outside? What was the next first party Xbox game that you were looking forward to outside?
Well, I mean, I think the next first party game that is coming out is Psychonauts 2. I'm just not really sure when yet. Maybe May, maybe June. Maybe they hold it to the end of the year. Like announced. I mean, the only one we know for sure is Halo, and I mean, Halo's my favorite franchise. I mean, that by far is going to be the one I'm the most interested in for this year. Even if Starfield and Forza Horizon 5 launch this year, it's always going to be Halo for me.
Bet. What about you, Brap?
The Bethesda games, I'll probably play Evil Within, Prey. I may go back and play Fallout. No, I'm not going to play Fallout again. Yeah, I would say Prey and Evil Within will probably be the 2 games that I play if I can get off my Dark Souls kick right now, which Dark Souls 3 has like its grips.
It's like a good kick to be in, man.
Yeah, like I'm on this Souls board kick right now, just platinum, Bloodborne.
Hold on a second. Enrique.
Yeah.
I seem to recall.
Here we go.
You talking all this trash to B Money, and B Money, shout out to B Money. He was.
Oh, you're talking about NBA 2K? Yes, NBA 2K. Yes, that's
yeah. B Money was with us last week, and
yes.
Shout out to him as well. You were supposed to play him in 2K, right? And you said once I'm done and I got this platinum with Bloodborne, it's on. And now you moved on to Dark Souls.
Well, let me tell you what happened. So I reached out to B, and B's like, "Brap, I want to play, but I'm busy right now. I'm playing Roblox." I'm like, "All right, cool."
Oh, I know that didn't happen.
I'm like, "Cool, hey, look, the man wants to play Roblox. I'm okay with it."
Oh man, I don't think B Money is going to co-sign that at all. But I'm sorry. Continue, sir. I just wanted to bring up the fact that once again you still ducking them. But go ahead.
Yeah, Prey and Evil Within, and probably Dishonored. What was the Dishonored DLC again, Rand? You mentioned it. I forgot.
It wasn't. It was a standalone game. Dishonored Death of the Outsider. But it seemed like it might have been DLC, but they just turned into a separate title.
Yeah, I think. And I might check out Youngblood too. Wolfenstein Youngblood. Just I didn't play it, so I may check that out too. And then with next Xbox game that I'm excited for. I don't know, guys. I'm really nervous about Halo. I hope it turns out well, but I would say Psychonauts 2. And then Starfield, which I agree with Rand. I think it's going to come out end of this year.
Okay. Slow-mo slappiest. What about you, sir?
Yo, go ahead and tell me that question one more time.
So, would you been battling with somebody in the chat?
No. I mean, I was when you said the question.
Well, when I asked the question
in the chat, so but it wasn't a battle.
Slow-mo, we got you 6 more subs, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you for those 6 subs in the chat. You guys are awesome. Go ahead, man.
So, question was, what is the first Bethesda game that you're going to play that long? Like, even if you don't play it tomorrow, what will be the next Bethesda game that you're going to play? And what is the next Xbox exclusive that releases this year that you are looking forward to?
The next Bethesda game I'm going to play is Deathloop.
Okay,
but like by far, like I had it listed as one of my most anticipated games of 2021. It's been a game that ever since they first showed it last year, I was like, yo, I gotta play this. And then just doing the research on it for videos and just seeing more and more of how the developers developed the game. I know I talked about it earlier, but yeah, I'm really, really hyped for that game. That is a game, the next Bethesda game that I'm interested in. I might, with those games coming out for Game Pass and tomorrow, I might try to give Wolfenstein Youngblood another shot. Visually on PC, the game is beautiful. I mean, absolutely beautiful on PC. But it's just the looter elements to that game aren't implemented well, and so I put it down pretty quickly. I did like 2 missions, and then I was just like, you know what, I can play something else right now. So I might go back and finish it, just to kind of see how it plays out, because I'm somewhat invested in the Wolfenstein storyline, despite how ridiculous it can get sometimes. I like the story. I kind of want to know how it turns out. Yeah, it's over. That's an understatement.
It's very over the top.
like that scene when she's pregnant. You remember that? I think that was number 2. Remember? And her but
I mean, real quick, in the first one, BJ is crippled.
Yes.
In a wheelchair.
Yeah.
In a hospital. Yep.
In a hospital. And hadn't moved a muscle for years.
And then he just goes full on ham.
And then he just goes ham on like that.
He crawls on the floor a little bit first.
Yeah, he does. Hey, Slow-Mo, by the way, Slow-Mo, that scene that I'm referring to was in Wolfenstein New Order with his future wife.
I remember. Yeah. Okay. Now I know you're talking about. When you said submarine, I thought you was talking about a lot of the stuff that kind of like happens in the New Colossus.
Oh yeah, with the German character.
Yeah.
That was an interesting scene, by the way.
The New Colossus has a lot of interesting scenes, especially with the execution, which was just like,
oh yeah,
what is happening here?
What's happening?
Yeah, but that would be it. I forgot the other question. What's the other question?
What Xbox game, that exclusive Xbox game, or just Xbox game that's coming out this year that you're looking forward to?
Halo Infinite. I mean, I would say Starfield, but I don't know what Starfield.
Nobody knows what Starfield.
Yeah,
nobody
knows. What it really is, right? So it's like I'm
Skyrim in space.
I'm curious, but I'm not quite certain. Halo Infinite, though, like, yeah, I'm a Halo fan, so
yep.
I can't wait to play that game. Hopefully it's 343's best Halo game. It needs to be 343's best Halo game. But yeah, that'll be it for me.
Woo. So for myself, Xbox exclusive Halo. I enjoyed what they showed at the reveal event. I don't run away from that. I just thought that they definitely should have did a little bit more TLC on that before they released it to the world to see it. But I thought the gameplay was fine. I thought I loved the look of it. I mean, I can't say I love the feel because I didn't get a chance to play it, but I liked what I saw. I just wish they modernized it for the next generation, which it looks like they actually did. So Halo will always be, like I always tell the story, Destiny wouldn't be a thing if Master Chief Collection worked day one. So anybody that wonders why I play so much Destiny is because 343 dropped the ball on a game that worked in its individual pieces when they tried to tie it together. It's doing a lot better now, but that was kind of the beginning of the end on how I actually felt about them. So they get another chance this holiday, and like Slow-Mo just said, it needs to be everything we want it to be, and it needs to be everything that Halo fans wanted to be, and still find a way to bring new people into the franchise and into the ecosystem. And if they do that, we'll be fine. When it comes to Bethesda, I have Fallout 4 as the game that I'm probably going to play first. I have that game on PS4. Me and my wife I watched my wife go through that whole freaking game on PS4, and it's really interesting. I've never really been huge into Bethesda games. That's why you don't really see me capping for them as much as a lot of other people do. But knowing that these are going to be games that's going to be available part of the subscription service that I'm paying for, you will be a fool not to at least dabble. You never know exactly what you'll fall in love with or things that you'll actually like. And I actually like the systems that they had in that game as much as people said that, it's not one of the best ones. I think, honestly, the fact that they have Obsidian as part of the Xbox family too, and they have Fallout, there's a possibility we could probably get that, New Vegas feel in another version of a Fallout game that they could actually bring out, which was a Fallout game that I actually did play. So Fallout 4, I'm finally going to give that one a go and see exactly how that one feels. No promises on if I finish it because I don't know.
I really liked Fallout 4, by the way. I thought it was really good. Not as good as Fallout 3, but definitely a good game.
Yeah, but that's the one I'm going to play. But we got a couple questions. Going to ask those before we get up out of here. Isidore Bain, he says, Rand, question for Rand. Mm-hmm. What do you think the game Jason Ronald was referring to? He said he thinks Forza, and I think he's just talking about when he was on the Iron Lords podcast, and he talked about it. What do you think he was referring to?
I mean, it's probably a good guess that he's referring to Forza. I mean, he didn't mention Forza Horizon is one of his favorite all-time franchises and that same interview thing.
Which Forza, though? Motorsport or Horizon?
Horizon. I don't. Motorsport's not coming out this year. Motorsport hasn't even been in development for 2 years yet, so it's not done. Like I think Forza's this holiday, and it's going to be cross-gen, right? Because this is going to be the last year Xbox supports the Xbox One, right? So you're going to have Forza Horizon 5, and you're going to have Halo Infinite be cross-platform. Starfield, I believe, is going to be next-gen only. So Series X, PC, Series S. So yeah, I believe it's Horizon 5. And he did say whenever it's revealed, he would say if that was the game he was referring to, you know?
Yeah, he did say that. Shout out to Sig Larson. I'm gonna give this one to Brat because he always talks about Xbox and their marketing. Will Bethesda's marketing help Xbox with marketing?
I don't know.
Don't know.
I don't know. I mean,
it can't be any worse, because that's the one thing that Xbox and Microsoft have had a problem with is the marketing side of pretty much everything they do. They do really well.
Their marketing was on point.
Oh, it was on
today.
point. They actually had really good cameras today.
Oh, wow.
They had really
shade.
Listen.
You know what's really cool though about that conference is that they were actually in Maryland. They were about 35 minutes from where I live.
Yeah, they were in Rockville.
Yeah, they were That was really cool, and I've actually been in that building before. That was really cool to see like Aaron and Phil there. Just for me because I live in Maryland, I thought that was kind of cool. But
yeah, Rockville. I used to work out there myself a gazillion years ago. Man, the commute was terrible. The commute's terrible anywhere you go.
Anywhere in the DMV. It sucks.
But it was pretty awesome to hear them mention Rockville. I think that's where, even though the company is named Bethesda, they're not really in Bethesda. I think they really are stationed in Rockville, which is literally right down the street. It's right down Wisconsin Avenue from Bethesda. Anyway,
they're not far from actually Bethesda. The city of Bethesda.
Yeah.
And
they're like right across the Beltway. Like when you cross over a bridge for the Beltway, you're in Rockville.
In Rockville, yeah. And ZeniMax Online Studios is actually in Timonium, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, which is north of Baltimore. And there's actually quite a few mobile developers out there. If you know that, Slow-Mo. Yeah. So
there's another one that's like.
I think EA had a mobile studio, I think, out in Timonium as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. All right, so we got another one from Mr. Bang directed at Rand. Rand, have you heard anything from Jez regarding the March 26th event for Xbox? Don't make us wait till tomorrow. Love Xbox 2. Shout out to the Xbox 2, one of the best podcasts out here. Sir, do you want to give that man a sneak peek into the show tomorrow? That might be tomorrow. It also could be on Saturday. You never know with Rand.
Hey, we are planning on doing it tomorrow. Jez said podcast tomorrow, and I said absolutely. As for what, I'm not really sure. I have talked to Jez about it, but I'm not really too sure on if it's like a gaming event, like a Nintendo Direct, or a State of Play, or more of a corporate-facing consumer like thing where it's like the future of gaming, but it's more about like, we're announcing xCloud is coming to iOS and PC in May, and like more of that than actual like a gaming. Like here's some new titles and stuff. So I'll talk to Jet. We'll talk about it more tomorrow. I'm not really sure about it just yet, so I don't like to say stuff that I'm not really sure on.
Yeah, definitely. And we got one last one that we're gonna do before we get up out of here. We got Slow-Mo. What's his name?
Erodimus. I'm sorry, no, Erodimus.
What's
up, bro?
Erodimus. He says, "What is your most anticipated movie for March? We got the Snyder Cut, we got Godzilla versus King Kong, or something else."
Definitely something else.
Wow.
I'll be checking out Godzilla versus Kong.
Heck yeah.
A 4-hour Snyder Cut.
I'm not into
it's not. Yeah, I don't know. Like, sorry. Like, Batman vs Superman was a bad movie. Man of Steel was pretty good, but yeah, I don't think the Snyder Cut's going to be good. So
all right, let's open it up. Okay, we'll still keep these options in there, but let's just open it up for the year. We do know the movie. First of all, movie theaters are opening up everywhere. So we'll just extend this to the end of the year. What is your most anticipated movie for this year? And are you going to go to a movie theater to see it?
No.
Yeah, I'm definitely
Absolutely not.
especially not in Texas, by the way.
I am not risking my life for a movie.
Reg, go ahead. So, most anticipated movie for the year, and are you going to a movie theater to see it?
The thing is, I'm not really sure what's this year. There's a whole bunch of Marvel movies, but I'm not really super enthused about any of them.
Okay.
I'll just say Dune. Like, I don't know if Dune's this year. I don't
That's
think
a good one.
I'm not sure Dune's this year, but like, I'm a huge fan of the original of the book, right? And I like the look and
oh man,
Denis
you are
Villeneuve,
speaking my language.
I forget how to say his last name, but like, he's an amazing director. He made Arrival. He's made Blade Runner 2049, and I'm sure, but like, he's such a great director. So like, for me, Dune might be that one movie where I might brave to go see it at the show. Like, honestly,
you won't need to. It's going to be on HBO.
Well,
Max.
I know, and I have an OLED and all that good stuff, but like, it's Dune, though. You know what I mean? Like, I've been waiting a long time to see like a proper, just like I was waiting a long time to see a proper Lord of the Rings, a proper Dune done right. You know, like, it's amazing.
You know, there was a few weeks ago where I was speaking about the greatness of Dune and how superior it is to Star Wars, and so many people in the chat lost it. And I mean, when I say lost it, I thought my life was in jeopardy for a moment.
It kind of was.
But yeah, no, I 100% agree with you about Dune. I think Frank Herbert is such a rest in peace, because he's passed for a while, but he was such an underrated writer. Those first 5 books that he wrote on Dune were, I mean, science fiction gold, and a lot of the things that you see in movies now and you see in science fiction books now are rooted in people's knowledge of what he created in that. And so just
even like Star Wars, you know, come on.
Especially Star Wars. You know what? See,
I see Rodimus.
Rand about to get some of that smoke from this chat.
Yeah, he is.
See, here we go. You know, A-Rod over here already about to unsub.
I mean, I'm sorry, guys. Star Wars is not a wholly original concept. It's literally Lord of the Rings or freaking Dune in space. I mean, it's your just generic basic hero's journey. It's been done a million times to death. There's nothing special. All right, I'm gonna get hate for this. I love Star Wars, okay? I'm a Star Wars fan, a big fan. But it always boggles my mind how big the franchise is when there's only literally been 2 good Star Wars movies.
Oh my God.
Right? The 3 prequel movies are trash, and the 3 sequel movies are garbage.
Speak on it.
And there's only like the original Empire Strikes Back is by far the best, and The New Hope is great. There's aspects of Return of the Jedi that are really good, but it lets it down. Like the fact that franchise is as big as it is, considering of how many shitty movies it has, is hilarious to me. And I'm a fan. I like Star Wars a lot, but like I'll be the first one to say the sequels and the prequels are garbage. Like,
oh yes, thank you. See,
there go T-Rock. T-Rock said, I think comparing Dune to Star Wars isn't worth arguing. They're too different.
How so?
How
so? Okay, let's talk about the elements that George Lucas stole from Dune.
Oh God,
put into Star Wars. Okay, there is the main character, Paul Atreides, the main character. He is essentially what Luke Skywalker is in Star Wars. He is the culmination of all of these generations of different, or at least in Dune, it was a lot of genetic breeding to bring about this special one person whose ability to see into the future was so powerful that he could literally see generations in the future. And that's, I don't want to ruin the story, but that's like the whole Luke Skywalker. He is the chosen one kind of thing that was stolen from Dune. The other thing, the whole huge galactic Congress that they have in Star Wars, all of that was
the Galactic
stolen.
Empire, sir.
Yeah, all that was stolen
The
from
Republic.
Dune as well. Dune has like these houses. It's almost kind of like Game of Thrones, where there's these houses that they run their own planets, but they also are under this emperor. I think his name's Emperor Shaddam. I think Emperor Shaddam runs the entire solar system and galaxy.
Hey, at least you don't have a dislike yet, though, so that's good.
Yeah. I think
Well, it won't be. It won't be because
I think I'm luring them in with my.
No.
If
this was Slow-Mo's channel, there would be like 16 dislikes already. People already know how Forte feels about Star Wars. Forte worships Star Wars.
But I think Forte should read Dune or just watch this movie.
I know. I've read the book and did it. I'm gonna watch the movie too.
I think they nailed the casting. I think the casting is awesome. Mm-hmm. The director has done really great work, and the budget behind it, because WB does not skimp on budget, is going to be amazing. Finally, I think Dune is going to get the kind of on-screen presentation that it deserved back in the 80s, and I think it's going to be awesome. That also, if you can't tell by now, Dune is my most anticipated movie of this year. So although even though I can't wait to see it, I ain't going in the movie theater. Forget that. now, unless I can bring a bottle of Lysol with me to spray down my seat and an entire theater
and a hazmat suit.
Exactly.
All right. So Brap, over to you. Most anticipated movie for this year, or just in general, and are you going to a movie theater to see it?
I would say Dune as well, but I'm not going to a movie theater. Hell no. No, I'm not doing it. Unless AMC's still doing that thing where you can like rent out a theater for like by yourself for like I think it's like it was like $20, I thought. I don't know if that's changed, but but probably not. I just got a new TV, and I'm toying around with an Atmos surround sound situation so I could watch these movies. So I'm going to watch it here.
Yeah, myself, my most anticipated movie, I'm a sucker for airplanes. So Top Gun, I was mad when that movie got delayed. I am a Top Gun nut. I am a person that would literally almost went to the Air Force because of Top Gun. Probably would have went if it wasn't for the fact that some other stuff deterred me from deciding and going. But that's the one that I was looking forward to the most. I don't even know if it's still coming out this year. It might get pushed to next year. But as much as I would say I want to go to a movie theater and see it, I can't. I just went through the COVID thing. I'm not trying to go back. We're not trying to do that. Your boy Forte has learned his lesson about other people. I don't trust other people because other people don't do what they're supposed to do. So yeah, I'm gonna sit my butt at home and watch it on whatever streaming service I can watch it on. I got one more. My man, he paid $5. So we got our boy 007 with a $5 super chat. One more question for Rand at the end. Rand, do you think that Sony is out of place in generation with the services in cloud? Is it possible they will be bought out by somebody like Apple or Amazon?
Jeez.
I know that's a loaded question.
I know, right? I mean, they're the market leader. They're not out of place. I mean, nothing's preventing them to. And you can sort of see some of their shifting already, right? Shifting towards PC, right? It's funny in a way because, I'll pat myself on the back on this one. I told y'all this was happening, and nobody believed me. I said Horizon Zero Dawn coming to PC, and oh my God, Forte, I was jumped on.
Yeah, you were.
I was called everything but a child of God, right? All that good stuff. And I said it wasn't going to stop, but they were taking it slowly because this is how you do things. Like, it's all psychological. You have to get people accepted to the idea. You got to let them get their anger out over it. So it's like, and I think the people in charge of Sony now realize that PC is not as much as a competitor as they thought it used to be, right? Mm-hmm. So they can start putting their games on PC closer. Like, I never say never, but I don't think they'll do day and date anytime soon, if ever, but you never know, right? And you can sort of start seeing them pivot with PS Plus a little bit by offering games and publishing games through their sort of like Game Pass, Destruction All-Stars, which was a good move by them because that game nobody was going to buy that game for $70.
Nope.
Nobody. I wonder if Returnal's going to be in I think Returnal's going to be good, but I also kind of look at them as like, man, are people really going to buy Returnal for $70? Is Sony going to have to put that in PlayStation Plus? But it's all about like Xbox dealt with this. Like, they did Xbox Play Anywhere in 2016, and there was some backlash by a lot of people. Are you going to PC? Right? And then people just eventually got over it, and they just accepted it. And, Game Pass started, and it wasn't always first-party games. And then a year later, it was. And, like, all these like things take time, when you're trying to change the direction of a big corporation. So, I mean, Sony's enjoyed the fruits of being the market leader, and they want everything to stay the same because they've dominated when it stays the same. So, Microsoft is out there, trying to change things around. Will that affect them? Maybe, maybe not. If everybody expects like games in a subscription, maybe that really does affect Sony's bottom line. And they'll have to move more towards putting their games day one in PlayStation Plus or PlayStation Now or whatever. But I mean, they have signed that deal with Microsoft for streaming, down the road. As for getting bought out, I don't think Amazon would. I mean, there's always the potential Apple might, but if I had to peg somebody to buy PlayStation, I would peg it on Tencent. Like if I had to pick somebody who eventually down the road bought like PlayStation, I wouldn't be surprised if it was Tencent. I mean, you see how much into gaming Tencent's getting, right? And how many investments they have and stuff. You never. I mean, there's rumors that they're trying to acquire Take-Two. Imagine if they got a hold of Grand Theft Auto, right? So we'll see. I mean, I think more than likely nobody acquires PlayStation, just like nobody acquires Nintendo or Xbox. But if there was one I had to pick out for a future, it would be Tencent.
Okay. Slow-mo, Brad, anything you want to say on that?
Yeah, I kind of agree with Rand. I think Tencent would probably be the one if Sony was going to get acquired. I don't see that happening, but Tencent's definitely the aggressor right now. They like Rand said. I mean, there's that rumor of them looking at Take-Two. But again, I don't see them. I don't see Sony. I don't see Sony really. I don't see them ever being in a situation. I could be wrong. I mean, things could change. I mean, who would have thought Nintendo would ever, lose to Sony when Sony released the PlayStation? So things can obviously change. But I do think, I'll say this, I think Sony is going to pivot. Like, Randy, I remember you saying, and I remember the whole Fallout thing when you said it was going to PC. I'm like, hell yeah, it is. Like, it just made too much sense for them not to do it.
Yeah,
right?
It makes way too much sense.
Yeah, like why wouldn't you do it? Like, why wouldn't you make more money? And it doesn't devalue the brand.
No.
People stop saying that.
Of course, it doesn't devalue the brand. And people will bring up, well, we already see it devalue Xbox, but you forget the reason why Xbox was devalued wasn't because the games are on PC. It's because the games they were putting out weren't good.
They weren't good.
Like,
exactly.
People have this revisionist history that the entire gen Xbox put games on PC, but they forget that all of 2014, all of 2015, and most of 2016, they had exclusive games.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody cared because of all the DRM stuff and the fact that they were overpriced. They lost on that basis. And it really has nothing to do with PC. Mm-hmm. So I agree with you, Brad. Like, even if Sony did day and date, which I don't think they will, but you never say never, I don't think it affects PlayStation all that much.
Well,
I think the console people will still buy it, and the PC people will just play the games on PC.
Yeah. That's always been my point. Like, you're not PC and consoles. They're not in the same space. They're not competing against each other per se. And people that own PC, if they haven't bought an Xbox or PlayStation now, they're never going to, right? Mm-hmm. And so now you're just expanding that consumer base that you could sell your product to individuals who had never had any interest in buying a platform just to play your exclusive games. And that does nothing. That by doing that, it only helps Sony and Microsoft in the long run. And look, I will say this, Ren. I think they're going to go day and day at some point. I can totally see them do it.
Never say never, but I think it's a little bit further out away.
I would agree with that.
Think they need to get. I think they need to convince their users to get more accustomed to it, which is why they announced Days Gone, and the next game more than likely is going to be God of War. God of War is coming to PC, 100%.
Oh,
me and Jez heard about it last year. It's going to come. I mean, obviously, it's free marketing for God of War Ragnarok when that launches probably next year. You know, would Bloodborne come to PC? I know people want it just because they don't want to play Bloodborne at 30 frames anymore.
Yeah,
right?
no, I don't.
I mean, we heard about Bloodborne last year. So.
Yeah,
Bloodborne.
So I mean, like, I think people just need to realize that this gen is going to be different than all the others. I mean, we already have crossplay going on for a whole bunch of stuff. MLB The Show's on Xbox, a Sony game, right? Like, isn't that ridiculous? You know,
who would have thought that, right?
Phil Spencer's got a doll of the Ludens doll from Kojima Productions next to an Xbox lamp. Like, well, what does that mean, right? Like, Death Stranding coming to Game Pass? I mean, who knows?
Yeah. I mean, I agree with Rand. I don't think their day and date is anything that would be anytime soon. I think they definitely want to put their games first on PlayStation. That PlayStation is the lead platform for all of their titles, and then they look at PC as Brap said, it's a very different market, and it's a whole another revenue stream. I mean, we look at Horizon Zero Dawn, which when it launched was a buggy mess when it launched. Yeah, and most PC gamers are really particular about this kind of stuff. Yet the game nearly sold 1 million in a month. Like, you think about that. That signaled to them right there. We're on the right track because we are hitting a different demographic that is interested in our games, but they're not interested in the method that we provide the games. So we bring the games to them. Period. Like, you don't want to play Horizon Zero Dawn at 30 frames per second on a PlayStation 4 that has a CPU from 2012, then sure, we'll put it on the platform that you care about. We'll put it on your PC that you built yourself, and you can play it in whatever fidelity, graphical settings, and frame rate that you want to. PC gamers are very different. Like, Game Pass, the games are available in Game Pass for the subscription. They still will buy them in Steam. Because why? Because Steam is a more stable area to install and run the game on their PC off of than getting it from the Microsoft store.
You know, it's gonna be funny when in 5 years Xbox drops the bag on Valve and Microsoft and Xbox own Steam.
Talked about that yesterday, y'all.
That would.
We talked about
Gabe Newell's not going to want. Gabe Newell's going to want to retire at some point. You're not going to want to run the company.
I think we did talk about that, but I think Grubb said that they would probably more likely just go public.
Maybe it's possible for sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think in regards to Tencent and Sony, the thing is that Sony, so much of their annual revenue is tied into a large, significant portion of that is PlayStation. That for Tencent to buy PlayStation, they would need to buy all of Sony, I think, because the rest of Sony really wouldn't survive without PlayStation.
Well, they probably still sell insurance. That's actually pretty big.
That's actually pretty big over there.
Yeah, pretty big for them. But it's I think it's a big revenue generated for them in Japan, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
They sell what?
They sell life insurance.
Life insurance over in.
Are you serious? Really?
Yeah. And it's actually they make a shitload of money doing it.
It's like their second most profitable thing behind PlayStation, literally.
Well, but they would actually really have to.
It actually might be more profitable if I think about it.
More Forte.
Yeah, it might be more profitable actually. Yeah, man. So look, oh man, how can I say this? We got up to 131 people in this live stream today, and that's by far the most we ever had on this show. And before, matter of fact, but then you know what? Shout out to Bethesda. The last time we got anywhere close to 100 people watching was when the Bethesda news dropped back in nine months ago, and we did actually it happened, and we streamed it and we talked about it. And that Thursday we hit like 79 people. So man, Bethesda, keep talking, keep doing the things that you're doing, man. Keep
shout out to the 121 people watching right now. We appreciate you.
Shout out to you guys. But we're gonna wrap this up because people got lives. You know, even though in some of these, the fact that Brap stayed 30 minutes past his curfew is a beautiful thing. But I'm gonna turn this over to the beautiful panel that we got here, man. First of all, Brap, you already know how we feel about you, man. You support this channel through and through when it comes to the things that you do on your own channel, and me and Slow Mo truly appreciate everything you do. Please tell these beautiful people and everybody in the chat where they can find you at, man.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, I want to thank you two gentlemen as well, because Brap wouldn't be Brap without Forte and Slow Mo, especially how you guys kind of go back and forth. I just sit back and just enjoy it. It's great. But no, this was a great show. And want to give a shout to everyone in the live chat. All the 120 plus individuals that were here hanging out with us for about 2.5 hours or so. Definitely appreciate it. Please, everyone, hit that like button. Check out Slow-Mo's Slow-Mo Backslap on YouTube. We got to get him to 1,000. He's almost there. And always a pleasure podcasting with the man with the million, Rand Althor. Rand, it's been a long time since we podcasted together, so it was great catching up with you. And we got to get you back on Brap again, sir. How
long has it been since I've been on Brap?
It's probably been a year and some change, man.
It's probably been longer than that. I kind of cut down on the podcast I go to, but I just support my man Forte and Slow Mo. Forte was like, you got to get you on when the Bethesda stuff happened. Just I was so hurt when he didn't ask.
He forgot. Yeah, but we got to get you seriously, Ray. We got to get you back on Brap soon.
Yeah,
it's long overdue, man.
But of course, I'll come on. We can talk about some stuff. I'm always down. It's been long enough, right?
Yeah, it's been a long time. Long overdue. But no, Forte, Slow-Mo, thanks for having me on again. Everyone, please check out Basement Radio Arcade Podcast, or we're known as BRAP, every Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. You can catch us on YouTube at Basement Radio Arcade Podcast. So, gentlemen, thank you again. It's always a pleasure.
Absolutely, man. It's always a pleasure having you here. And segueing over to the man with the million, and Rand, you already know how I feel about you, man. Ever since, and a lot of people probably don't know this, ever since the situation when I meant to donate $50 to you and I ended up donating $500,
I was like, what?
Wow.
Is it crazy?
And everybody in the chat was like, yo, Forte, you need to stop by my stream.
I was like, if you didn't mean that, I'll refund you the money. And he's like, I totally didn't mean it.
Totally didn't mean it. So ever since that moment, that was just the beginning. We started talking in DMs and stuff ever since that, and that was like 3 years ago. So look, man, you always been a friend. You always give really great advice to me on the things that I should be doing, and me being the little person I am, when I gave you feedback and stuff, you actually took it. And a lot of people can't say that no matter who you are, they're always going to be there to listen to is exactly what you have to say. And you have become a juggernaut in this community, and everybody in this community, you have become a juggernaut, and everybody know who Rand Althor is, because everybody respects you, man. And this community wouldn't be as great as it is if you weren't a part of it. So truly appreciate you coming to the show as always, and tell Jez we said hello when you finally do see him tomorrow. But outside of that, man, tell everybody what's going on with you and where they can find you.
Man, you really buttering me up, calling me a juggernaut, huh? Jeez.
Well, listen, if it was a thumbnail, it would be
it's the juggernaut. Yeah. What is that line?
I'm the juggernaut. Yeah, I mean, like, me and Jez will be doing the Xbox 2 tomorrow. My channel, it's where I put out all my videos. You can go check it out, and all the links are there for like Twitter and stuff, which, I barely tweet, but I did put out a tweet tonight. I don't know if you saw it, about PlayStation Insiders. Just running that line of 0 points, 0 rebounds, 0 steals,
that was savage.
0, a whole bunch of different stuff. So I was just trying to have fun. I don't use Twitter that much. I'm just one of those people that, like, I just don't know what to tweet. I just kind of sit there and just like, I don't know what to say. I'm just, yeah, so like, it was great hanging with you guys. Very awesome conversation, very smart and informed. And man, I spent like 2 hours working on my video, and then I got to spend 2.5 hours talking about this stuff with you guys. So that's like 5 hours of my day gone talking about Bethesda and Xbox again. Like, I am so happy I don't have to freaking talk about this stuff so much, like as much as anymore. You know what I mean? 5 hours talking about this stuff. Kill me.
You know this community, though. They're going to find a way to keep this
of course.
conversation
I already
going.
see some people. Legacy means that. No. Legacy doesn't mean that. Damn it.
Absolutely, man. And it's like I said, it's always great to have you here. And yes, I'm bothering you up, but I do truly feel that way. If I didn't respect you as much as I respect you, I wouldn't, talk to you, and you wouldn't have my phone number. So next time you want to jump on the show, don't be trying to DM me. Just call me. Say, yo, bro, I'm disappointed that I didn't get a message from you. And you know what? I'm going to tell you just like I tell Slow Mo, I'm sorry. And I apologize. And it won't happen again.
Can you imagine if this
will happen? If it's like me, it will absolutely happen again. Actually, very soon. So just be prepared.
Can you imagine if this went the other way, though? And I was wrong, and the Bethesda games were all multi-platform. I don't know. I might have taken a sabbatical from YouTube and
listen. There would be no Xbox.
social media for a week.
Listen, there would be no Xbox 2 tomorrow. He would literally
canceled.
He wouldn't be on Xbox Live. His Xbox Live account would say last seen 29 days ago.
No, Rand. You just do what the other people do when they're wrong. You delete tweets, private videos, and then you pretend like you were saying everything that actually transpired all along. Like, I've been saying this.
Yeah, shout out to that. And Slow Mo. Listen, man, milestone as a show. Always appreciate the insight that you bring to the show, and just glad to have you as a co-partner in this whole thing that we're doing. And check it out. Make sure you're there next week too, because we're changing up the format. If everything goes well, the format's changing next week, and I think you guys are going to enjoy it. But Slow Mo, once again, another amazing show with you, and glad to do this with you every week. So let everybody know what's going on your channel, where to find you, everything you got going on.
Well, first, let me say, Forte, I gotta give it up. This is probably your best hosting yet. This was really good. You did a good job. Usually you're kind of like all over the place, but tonight you were focused on point. I appreciate that.
Oh, look at you. I appreciate it. That's because the excitement level, man, this is something that we all care about. That's the thing people don't really trust me. Rand will be the first one to tell you this. You just kind of just sit back with your head against the back of the wall when there's stuff that you don't really care about, and it's like you're just talking about it. And now we never do that on DPS because that's our show, but there is always a moment where you're like, yo, like Ray said, I'm just tired of talking about the same thing. And I think today was the day that we can finally say to ourselves, my God, if for us, this is over. Now, are there going to be people who are just going to want to argue about this for the next 6 years? Absolutely. But in my heart, this is over. So I'm good. And that's
it's been over since September 22nd.
Exactly.
People just didn't know.
But
right.
Exactly. But yeah, Slow Mo, you're absolutely right. And thank you for saying that.
All right, no problem, man. You guys check out my channel. Yes, I will live stream Bug Snacks when I hit 1,000. I will reiterate it once again. I will definitely live stream it. I'm not going to enjoy it, but I'm pretty sure many of you will enjoy my misery. So check that out when that happens. But outside of that, just check out my channel in general. I think I make some pretty good content. I think you guys will enjoy it. I will have a video out in the morning, mostly about a lot of the stuff that we talked about, but a couple of other things that I think are pretty interesting. So check my video out in the morning. I hope you guys have a great night, great weekend, and enjoy your games, man.
Absolutely. And look, it's going to be a bunch of great shows going on this weekend. I always like to give back to the people that give back to us. We got Rand here, Xbox 2 tomorrow. Make sure you check them out. The fact that this man spent 5 hours talking about the same thing, he gonna talk about in his own show tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm not talking about tomorrow. It's gonna be great. I'm gonna be.
But guess what? It's gonna be to a bigger audience, and it's gonna be a phenomenal. Make sure you take that victory lap as many times as you can tomorrow.
I don't know. People are saying legacy might mean all the IPs that.
Oh yeah, exactly. And shout out to the Iron Lords. Saw Cognito up in here earlier. I am truly looking forward to what King got to say this
He's
Sunday.
gonna be in his bag.
Big
Man.
is in his bag right
Yo,
now.
you talking about how PlayStation? Listen, I don't believe that. Look, I love PlayStation. I own a PlayStation 5. I don't think you guys are peasants, but guess what? Sunday, King gonna probably try to make y'all feel like a bunch of peasants that day. So I'm just gonna tell you right now, just back away. Probably just avoid the show altogether. But if you want to be entertained that day by what the Iron Lords are going to put out there, it's an amazing show, and you're going to get a lot of good information from there, and it's funny, and I can't wait to see what they got to say around all this. But as always, guys, I truly appreciate you guys. This is DPS Podcast episode 25. Next week it will be on Slow Mo Backslash channel with the hopefully the updated changes that we're going to be doing. Be on the lookout for that. And go ahead.
They'll definitely be there. So yeah. Expect a different format for like the visual look. I mean, it's still going to be me and Forte, chopping it up and talking about the latest gaming topics and various other things. But the visual look is going to be different. We won't be on StreamYard next week. So come check it out. I think you're going to enjoy it.
We're upgrading, y'all. We're upgrading. So see you guys then. And if you like this, make sure you hit the like button, hit the sub button. Truly appreciate it all. Thanks to all the super chats. And we will see you guys next week. And we'll see you in our videos. Y'all have a good weekend.